What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's going on, everybody? What is going on? And welcome to the Blunt Thought Spaces on an off day. And today we will have a special guest as SNY's Anthony McCarron will join us. Mostly because he's someone I respect. And when I'm losing my mind and I don't know what the hell is going on and I'm going crazy about things, I like to talk to people that I respect to see if they can help me to try to figure things out. Not saying that Anthony's going to have all the answers for us or anything like that or any answers at all, but I enjoy talking baseball with Anthony. So I reached out and thought today would be a good time to hear from someone like him. Now I'm waiting for him to come in here. I think he might be inside and I may not see him. Hey, Anthony, if you're here, let me see if I find you here on the list. If you're inside, Anthony, shoot me on the bottom left of the screen. You will see a little microphone. Click on that microphone to request to speak. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you the co-host invite so that I can have more slots, as we will only be able to have 10 speakers once everybody starts requesting to speak. Real quick, everyone, I'm sure a lot of you are going to want to come up and ask questions. As always, when I do it on my own, let's just respect each other. If you don't want to respect me, at least respect our guest, Anthony. Let's respect each other's time. Let's try not to take too long, but get your thoughts in there. Question, whatever it is, get it in, but keep in mind that other people may want to come up and ask questions. And I will do that myself when it comes to what I want to ask Anthony and all that good stuff. But again, just waiting for Anthony to come in, and we'll pretty much we'll get it started. I see all your requests. I'm gonna hold off on your request for a second until I get Anthony up here, and then I'll start bringing you guys up one by one as Anthony and I start speaking. Um, let's see. Give me 1 second. Anthony's just sending me a DM here. Um, what else was I gonna say? I don't know. Give me 1 sec. This is not good. Also, just so that everyone knows, I am also streaming this over on the YouTube tonight. So hello to everybody on YouTube, just in case. I know some people actually only watch on YouTube instead of X and stuff like that. So wanted to involve them in this conversation as well. So hello everybody on YouTube. Apologize. The guys on YouTube can see that I'm actually sending a text. You guys on X are like, why the hell is he so quiet? It's because I don't see Anthony and I think he's inside. But sometimes this crap is so delayed and loading people up. It drives me crazy. Don't you be laughing, Kyle. Don't you be laughing. Hey, Dennis. What's going on, my brother? Good to see you, man. My guy, Dennis. Good guy, Dennis from City Field. There's my guy, Anthony. There we go. Man of the hour. Enough of me blabbering. All right. Hector. Manage the space, Hector. When you go to manage the space, you're going to find Anthony. And Anthony, I'm sure you could hear me now. I'm going to send you that co-host invite. Just accept that. And you'll be up here ready to speak. And then we'll get this thing started here. Let's see. All right, guys, I'm going to approve all your requests. Please do not jump in. Please do not jump in. Also, one thing. If you're a regular to the Blunt Thought Spaces and you request to speak, you're going to get a shot before someone else that doesn't come to the Blunt Thought Spaces on a regular basis. You may not like it, but that's how we're going to do it. That's how we're going to do it. Hey, Anthony, I see you there. I send you a request to co-host. All you have to do is accept that, and then you'll be able to speak freely. All you would have to do is unmute your microphone on and off. And again, this is going to be on the bottom left of the screen. There should be a little microphone icon there. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, what a day yesterday, huh? What a week and a half, what a 2 weeks or however the hell it's been. What a last 9 games for our New York Mets. What a game yesterday. What a game yesterday as well, that shouldn't have happened the way that did. Wait a minute. Where we almost got no hit. Where we almost got no hit. How the heck did that happen? And thank you to Juan Soto, who does what he does and hits a solo home run there and breaks up that no hitter. But man, it's been a rough time. It's been a rough time. It's been a rough time, and it's hard to stay positive with this team right now. It's hard to feel good about this team right now. Yes, we think and we hope and we feel like, oh yeah, eventually they're gonna figure it out, right? Eventually Juan Soto's gonna be Juan Soto, but I don't know about you guys, but I'm not the most patient person, so I'm getting a little impatient waiting for these things to happen. I don't know what's going on with Anthony. I can't get Anthony up here.
Hector, you may have too many speakers. Maybe
No,
that's why it's something
that's why
off.
I'm sending him the co-host, Jonathan, as I said 3 times. Um, maybe now 4, which shouldn't matter. He should be able to accept that. It's also why I wasn't trying to let everyone come up, but once I send him the co-host, um, I started accepting the speakers. I might have to just drop you guys.
Hector, tell him to push the blue button if you sent him the co-host. There's a blue. It says co-host. Just tell him to press that, and then it'll say accept, and then he accepts it.
I mean, yeah, you just told him. I'm pretty sure he could hear you. You heard that, Anthony? The blue co-host button, which I'm sure you can probably see popping up on your screen. Or again, you can,
unless he's on a computer, Hector. If he's on a computer, then it's different. If he's on a cell phone, then that's how you do it. Sorry.
Yeah. No, just not letting him connect. All right, so let me do this, guys. I'm gonna drop everyone. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Let me see. I might have to drop everyone and let you guys back up. Just he says he's on a computer. Yeah, and I don't know why it's not letting him. I hate when this does that. All right, hold on a second. Let me try this then. Hey, when this does that. Of course, it lets all you fools up here nice and quick. But
Easy calling me a fool, my friend.
Yeah, Anthony, if you want to try your phone, that works. It is gonna be only audio, at least on your portion of it. The people might, but I don't even have myself up on the screen on the YouTube right now, so they're just looking at the exactly, Alex, tecnología. They're just looking at the actual space. But yeah, try the phone. Like I said, I send you an invite to co-host. That should pop up. Maybe close the space even on the computer and open it again. And when you come back, the invite should be there. Let's see. It ain't a hectic space if there isn't just a little bit of technical difficulties. You guys know that. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And to think that Anthony has an hour and we're wasting 11 minutes. I'm really gonna have to make sure that I don't talk a lot of nonsense.
Sal messed up his Twitter
Hector,
account.
can you hear me?
Yes, sir. There we go. I know
Oh, there we
that
go.
voice.
Okay.
I know
Yeah,
that
there we go. That
voice.
worked. That's working better than my computer. So let's go phone.
Let's go phone. Okay, Anthony. So let me try to invite you to co-host better, so that way I can have a few more, like at least one more slot to invite these thirsty speakers. As you can see, that they're ready to, they're chomping at the bit. They don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from you. So I'm gonna send you an invite to co-host. If you could accept that, if it pops up, and then you'll be right up here with me, and then we'll get this going. If not, we'll keep you where you are, and then we'll just somebody will have to drop off. I'll just have to knock people off as more people want to come up and speak. That's how we'll do it. Let's see. What do we got? Let's see. Did you get that co-host invite, Anthony, or no?
I don't see it.
All right, don't worry about it. Let's not waste time with that stuff. How you
Oh
doing,
wait,
Anthony?
you know what? I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing personally in life great. As a sports fan, especially a Mets fan, pretty miserable. Totally
Yeah.
honest.
Tough stretch here, huh?
Yeah, Anthony. I mean, honestly, in a lot of ways, it's been I don't want to say a tough season, but it's been, I don't know, to the point where the last few days, everyone in the spaces knows that listens to me talk every day. I was like, you know what? I need to slow down. I need to slow down and enjoy the season because I feel like it's getting away from me and I'm not enjoying it because I'm waiting. I'm waiting for us to get healthy. I'm waiting for us to get to the trade deadline. I'm waiting for this, waiting. And it's like, no, just enjoy the games one at a time as they go. But then when I go to sit down and watch the games, they're tough to enjoy, particularly the last 9.
Yeah. I feel that. It hasn't been great. And I sort of go back and forth on the idea whether it's something that you really should be worried about or it's just the ebb and flow of a long season. And, as people watching it, we all sort of cling to the moment in a way that, maybe doesn't work over a whole 162. And, it's kind of a reminder to breathe, even when they're going well. When they were 45 and 24, was it reasonable to think that that's what they were? I don't know. That was pretty incredible, with so many things going right that have since come back to the pack a little bit. But in the same vein, I feel like right now, when they're not playing well, this isn't them either. And so, I mean, I feel your pain, Hector, but I'm mostly optimistic about this Mets team. They still hold a playoff spot. As bad as they've been, the Phillies can't bury them in the division. They have opportunities against the Phillies. And look, the main culprit of why they're playing poorly right now is that the brand name hitters are not doing the job. And at some point that's going to change, right? I mean, right?
Right. Again, and that's what we keep waiting for, right? We've been waiting all year. I've been waiting all year for Juan Soto to show up. And don't talk to me about no player of the month in June, because when he got the player of the month, it's when our season turned around for the worse. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not too excited about that. And even then, the impact wasn't there. The impact that we thought we were getting with Juan Soto wasn't there. And we'll go back to the preseason chat that we had in a second. But to what you're saying, yes, you're not what's the saying, right? You're not as good as when you play your best. You're not as bad as when you play your worst. And when they were playing, I don't want to say their best, but when they were, did you say 45 and 24? When they hit that high point where they were the best record in baseball and all of that nice stuff that lasted what, half a day? I think it was, or maybe a day and a half. I was of the mindset like, hey, listen, and I think all of us, and I kept referring to last season how you cannot have been a Met fan in 2024 and lose your mind with what we're seeing right now. Yes, we're not hitting. Yes, our numbers in running and scoring positions stink, but it can't continue, right? These guys are eventually going to play to the back of their baseball card, right? And this and this and this and that. But here we are, and the numbers in running positions still stink. Juan Soto still hasn't really arrived, in my opinion. I know that bothers some people, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to be optimistic. I don't want to lose hope. I'm not going to lose hope. I'm the last dope to lose hope, but they're making it extremely hard right now. And the hitting, Anthony, the hitting is just I don't even know what to think anymore.
Well, it's maddening. It's maddening. And teams always look worse when they don't hit. That's like the one thing, your bullpen can blow games and, or your starter can get pounded on one night and knocked out of the box and you lose big. And that's all, that's not great, obviously. But when you don't hit, that's when teams looks, I mean, weak and like they don't have any energy. Offense cranks up the energy in baseball like almost nothing else. And, with the Mets not hitting, you say, well, they look bad. Are they a bad team? Well, they're not a bad team, but they're not hitting right now. And look, it's stunning that they are a below average offense, which is what they are. They're not that far under the MLB average in runs per game, which I think is 4.42, and the Mets are scoring 4.36 per game. But that doesn't mean that they're a good offensive team either, just because they're close to that. They don't hit with runners in scoring position, and that's been a year-long problem. Some people in baseball don't believe that that's a talent. They just think that good hitters will eventually accrue stats with runners in scoring position. But to me, there seems to be a little bit of mojo to that kind of thing. And these Mets have not displayed it yet. Maybe, there's still time. And look, as long as they're in the conversation going forward here, then there's always a chance for them to finally do what you thought that they were going to do all season offensively, but they just have to do it, and they haven't done it. And the look, go right down the top four of the lineup. Those are the four guys who deserve all the blame. Lindor, Nimmo, Soto, and Alonso. Those guys, some of them, there's some nice stats there and all that sort of stuff. Right now, I mean, since the All-Star break, I just looked up some numbers before we got on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, since the All-Star break, it's ridiculous. I mean, Lindor's OPS is 569. Alonso's is 589, even though he's had a hot streak with the home runs, and you get sort of romanced by the chase of Strawberry. And that'll be a great record when Pete owns it, and a good thing for him. He's actually the only one hitting with runners in scoring position, it seems like, all season. But Nimmo's OPS since the All-Star break, 667. Soto, 640. These are not numbers that are going to generate a lot of wins for the Mets with a top-heavy offense. And, it's got to change.
Yeah, but that's what we've been saying for the beginning of the season. Let me ask you, Anthony, what are your thoughts as to, because the biggest culprit when it comes to this, surprisingly so, and when I say this, I'm talking about the RISP, runners in scoring position, is Juan Soto. And I don't know if you remember, as I said, we'll touch a little bit on some of the preseason stuff. In the preseason, we referenced our friend Evan Roberts and him talking about when would Met fans boo Juan Soto. And I don't know if you remember me saying, never. That is not going to happen, because in order for Juan Soto to get booed, he's going to need to struggle. And he's not going to struggle, I said, Anthony, because me, the Juan Soto stand that I was at the point, right? He's not going to struggle. We've seen this guy succeed under ultimate pressure. We've seen him succeed in the World Series. We've seen him succeed in pennant races. We saw him succeed in the Bronx. Why would he struggle in Queens? And here we are, and he has struggled in Queens. The body language at times doesn't look good. And like you said, when you're not doing well, it looks bad. It looks worse than what it really is. A lot of times it's because you're disgusted with yourself because you're not getting the job done. So I get it. I try not to make too much of that. But there's a lot of things with his body language and the way he speaks that I haven't liked. But okay, we'll get over that. That happens. And we make too much of it when the guys are not doing well on the field, right? We just went through it with Lindor, people to bring up Beltran and so on and so forth. But in your opinion, where's Juan Soto? Why haven't we seen him, Anthony? Why?
I don't know the answer to that. I agree that he is such an incredible talent that at some point I believe that he's going to be, the one that we've seen throughout his career. Look, I mean, it's not like he never struggled in the past. I mean, some of his time in San Diego wasn't all that great. If you remember, especially when he first got there. Is he somebody who needs some time to get used to new surroundings? Maybe. I don't know. It didn't seem to be a thing last year. But he also had a free agent contract to play for. So maybe that impacted it in some way. in his 1 year with the Yankees, which was obviously a great year where he had big hits. I mean, he basically did exactly what they traded him for. He hit the home run that sent them to the World Series, in addition to having a great year there. Now, he's got 26 home runs, and that's not the be all end all of the Juan Soto value, only home runs. He's not a one-dimensional offensive player, but some of the other stuff hasn't been there at the level that he's achieved in the past. But what if he has, I don't know off the top of my head how many games are left, but what if he has 45 incredible games going forward? They're not all going to be 3 for 5 with 4 RBI, but I'm willing to bet on Juan Soto, this is why I'm optimistic about the Mets going forward here, because I do believe that he'll hit. I do believe that Alonso will hit home runs going forward here. And I do believe that Lindor, if he is healthy, will get something done on offense as well. And there were some glimmers, that game again, in this bad stretch where they beat the Giants, all 4 of those guys did something good. And, you could see it at sort of its apex, with the Met lineup, what it looked like. And it was glorious to see, right? I mean, it was amazing. It just needs to happen more. But in terms of Soto, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is here. He is just sort of finding his way. But I mean, there's another player in the month in there, perhaps, and that would be a big deal for the Mets.
Absolutely. Now, again, I just hope that the player of the month comes with more impact than it did in June, and a winning impact. But absolutely, listen, that's the great thing is when we look at it, we are in a so much better place than we were last season. In that we're only 2.5 games back right now
Yeah.
of a division. You know what I'm saying? So it is like when I think of that, I look at that, I'm like, okay, you have to calm down. I totally believe in the player Juan Soto. We saw Francisco Lindor become a superhuman last season during the playoffs and to get us into the playoffs. So I do believe in these guys. Again, I'm just tired of waiting. I'm tired of waiting, and I'm scared that we may run out of time. And one more thing before we get into the speakers, and not one more thing because I'm going to have tons of questions probably, but I do want to get to everybody, and I do want to grant your 1 hour this time since I always keep it a lot longer than I should. But again, Anthony, like always, appreciate you. You've become a friend without us even meeting in person. Next time you get to a game, you got to let me know so I can come by and say hello, buy you a drink, dinner, something, and anything, man, because you've been great to me and more than I deserve, that's for sure. And thank you to Sal for connecting us, for sure. Even if that
Sal's the
upset
best.
some people, you know what I'm saying? And don't try to come in here when you come to speak and say, "Hey, Anthony, I would love to have you on." Now, this is not for that. I will cut you off immediately. You do that on your own time. You do that on your own time. I'm telling you guys right now. Anyways, Anthony, one thing that really is terrifying me right now, again, before we go to the speakers, is when I look at how this team has played. And this team has not been good on the road, Anthony. And I've been saying this for the last few days, and nobody says anything. I don't think people really like. It doesn't hit them the way that it's hitting me. This team just started August, where they were going to play 18 home games and 9 road. That's great. Let's take advantage. We've been phenomenal at home. I don't know if we still have the
they're
best
good at
record.
home.
Right, Anthony. In September, it is 16 road games and 9 home games. That has me terrified with the way that we're playing right now. And if we need to go out there and go on a stretch where we need to win, I don't know, whatever, can we do it when we're playing most of our games on the road? And then you know where the season ends, right? In beautiful Miami. Am I looking forward to that? Not really.
Yeah, that's got some dark connotations, Miami. Any games against the Marlins late in the season where the Mets have big hopes, that is kind of an uncomfortable situation. Am I right?
Yeah, it is for me. Some people were trying to tell me, yes, no, it's just Miami. Then I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, first of all, they're pretty good actually right now.
Right.
I don't want to try to pitch to Kyle Stowers. He's out of his mind.
Oh, don't tell my buddy Joe and Clark that, who's gonna come up here and probably tell us that he wishes he had Kyle Stowers over Juan Soto right now, because that's the kind of production that we wanted out of Juan Soto. Love you, Joe, but I don't want to hear that nonsense tonight. No, man. But I don't know. So when I tell you that record, does that do anything for you? I mean, not the record, that schedule. Does that do anything for you? Does it give you a little bit of pause? Like, oh man.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at it now. There's 6 games under 500 on the road, um, um, which is, it's not great. I mean, I'm looking at the Phillies. I just looked up the Phillies,
Oh
and I
yeah.
think they're at 500 on the road.
Oh, they got better.
And yeah, I mean, that's what, the Phillies are 28-28 on the road.
Hmm.
And teams want to play 500 on the road. Good teams want to play 500 on the road because they feel like that they can stack wins at home, which is, certainly the Mets have the stacking wins at home part down. But look, I don't know how you feel about run differential as a stat, Hector. I think that it's an interesting guide. I don't think it's a be all end all. I know some people get wound up about run differential, that doesn't tell you anything. I disagree with that. But the Mets run differential on the road is -2, which is not too bad. Obviously, it hasn't worked out to more wins, but if they can get around the 500 mark on the road, I think they're going to be okay. And that'll be fine. And there'll be plenty in the tank there to make the playoffs, and that'll be okay. I don't think they're a Citi Field phenomenon of a team where they can only win at home, that they're only built to win at home. I don't buy that.
You don't
if
think,
they
you don't think
were
they're cheating at home, so you don't buy.
I mean, no, but that they're not. Their park is not skewed to one skill, and that's the only skill they have, and they do it well, and that's why they've been winning at home. Those kind of things. I'm not overly concerned about that. I'm more concerned about my top 4 concerns, which are the so-called Fab 4.
Oh, as I like to call them, the Flab 4, because that's what it's been more like. The Flab 4. And listen, man, Steve Cohen, he's been in a slump. There's a lot of people that have been in a slump this season. Steve Cohen has been in a slump with his posts. The post that I keep having fun is the one where they scored 8 runs against the Royals, and he had to come out and say, "Oh, I don't see any complaining now." Funny how that
Yeah.
works when we don't score runs. Since then, Anthony, I haven't updated it, but when I've last checked, I forget it was under 500 record, and we were averaging 3.6 runs a game since that time.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem with the owner going on Twitter, as entertaining as it can be, there's receipts there.
And this season, they're not good receipts. We got my guy Mark Vientos, another guy who I thought was going to be sophomore slump proof, killing me. The sophomore slump, who was it that said? I forget. I think it was my guy Anthony. Or somebody told me, punched him in the mouth real good. And yes, it did. He hasn't been able to get up. And maybe now he's getting up a little bit. And even Carlos Mendoza, I think the sophomore slump is getting him a little bit as a manager, where it seems like every button he pushes, and a lot of times it has to do with the players too. If they execute, he looks good. If they don't, he looks bad. But it seems like he keeps on pushing the wrong buttons lately. And, I don't know, man. But let's get to the people, as I'm sure they're like, Hector, shut the hell up. And the way we do it is we do ladies first. So I don't care how you guys got in here. We're going to do ladies first. And that lady will be my good friend, Little Sweet Lynn, whom I thought was probably upset at me the other day because she was getting on my guy Pete, and I had to come back with a uppercut myself.
No, why would I be upset with the great Hector? No, no, absolutely not. Hector, you've been doing a great job in spaces all season. Just giving everybody a chance to vent their feelings about this team, and I appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you too
for that. Good evening, Anthony.
Hi.
Thank you for taking the time to join us on this space. I don't know. I really don't know what to say. I mean, there's no doubt to me that this season so far has been disappointing as a Mets fan, but I can't help but think that, to me, as a fan who has been watching this team for 25 years now, and just what my eyes tell me, this team has been pretty terrible with runners in scoring position in general, as well as with the bases loaded, for the past 4 years now. So I don't know what that can be attributed to, whether it is a guy like Eric Chavez or just their philosophy in general, but they have been pretty terrible in that facet of the game. It doesn't seem to matter who is in the lineup, Juan Soto or not. It's just pretty incredible to me that they can be so bad with just fundamental things of the game, like getting the runner over,
Right.
or getting a simple sack fly or a ground ball to the opposite side to get a runner in. That play the other night where Pete was having his great game and he came up with the bases loaded, where you were thinking, okay, just get a simple sack fly, and you got the lead run. They can't do it. They just can't seem to do it, and I don't know why. And to be honest with you, immediately after the Soto signing, which was I remember I could tell you the date and the time of that signing because that's how historic it was.
Absolutely.
My first reaction to that after the initial excitement of that was, okay, what's next? With the assumption that
Which was
he
Frankie
would
Montas, no?
be, which was, yes, it was Frankie Montas. It happened to be Frankie Montas, but with the expectation that Pete was going to be re-signed, I'm like, okay, what's next? Because to me, at that point, it's like you couldn't sign a franchise-changing player like Juan Soto and not want to build around what is essentially going to be the face of your franchise moving forward for 15 years with the establishment of the coming soon Metropolitan Park. I saw that signing as it's a business thing as well as a
Sure.
team thing, so to me, just this fringe signings and the reclamation projects with Griffin Canning and Frankie Montas, and trying to convert Clay Holmes back into a starter, and Jose Siri in center field, and Jesse Winker and Starling Marte as a DH platoon. The Mets haven't had an actual DH at all since it came to the National League, So it's just frustrating to me how just with Juan Soto, I just expected more from the front office, in terms of not getting stars at every position, but just competent players that play the game right. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it's just been I can't say that I'm shocked because everything had to even out. They weren't going to continue to play over their heads that they were playing as they were playing in the beginning, but I didn't expect them to be this bad. So it's just, it's a confusing season. But what I can say is that watching this season, it definitely hasn't been as fun as last season was. Even
Well,
with, you know,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the time. Thank you.
Oh, you bet. I one thing I would say about this team is that, and maybe we all didn't feel that this was going to be the case because they did play so great early. Their pitching, I think, was an incredible and pleasant surprise early in the season. I don't know anybody who thought that their rotation was going to be as good as it was early on, even with guys like Sean Manaea on the IL. But they have proven so far, and they've got a little time to rewrite this, but they've proven to be an incredibly streaky team. because they were playing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they were playing poorly for a while there a few weeks ago. Then they won 7 in a row or whatever it was. And now they've lost 8 out of 9 and they've looked bad doing it. And so it's almost like you don't know what to think about them from day to day, which is weird because we're already, well over 100 games into the season, and you think you have, some sort of a handle on what your favorite team is, right? And the Mets keep showing us on an almost weekly basis that, like, yeah, we've decided to change our persona. Sometimes it's because we're not playing well. Sometimes it's because we're playing well, but we're not going to be, we are not going to be defined. And that's a weird place to be with these Mets because, as you brought up the addition to Juan Soto, you feel like that was, it's an unbelievable piece to add to a team. You feel like the team that got to the NLCS last year and got 2 games off the Dodgers in that. And the Dodgers were clearly the best team in baseball last year. It was not close in my mind. And the Mets beat them twice in that series, which is something. And you feel like you add Juan Soto to that. Well, this should be something not as streaky as what has happened. And look, you're right about runners in scoring position. It's crazy to think that only the White Sox and Mariners are worse in terms of batting average with RISP than the Mets. Weirdly, they are actually
maddening. It's maddening, Anthony.
Maddening.
It's very maddening.
Yeah. Weirdly, they and I have a feeling that Pete's numbers with runners in scoring position are impacting this particular stat, but they're kind of mid-pack on OPS with runners in scoring position because he's hit a bunch of 3-run home runs, it seems like. And, that's his Pete's work with runners in scoring position is fueling him already having 91 RBI. Look, whatever you think about RBI as a statistic, I know some people don't love it. To me, you still got to knock in. You got to take advantage of those opportunities if they are presented to you and knock the runs in. And Pete's done it 91 times this year. That's pretty good. But yeah, I like there's what's happened with their offense has been inexplicable because I really believe early in the season when they played great, I felt like I was amazed because I said, well, they haven't even really hit yet. If this is what they are and they still got more to come on offense, well, look out. But of course, we haven't seen that come to fruition yet, and maybe we won't. Here's one stat I was looking at earlier today may give hope. I know some people don't enjoy exit velocity as a determiner or as something to learn from. I happen to think that it matters. There's 3 teams in baseball that have an average exit velocity over 90 miles an hour, which is pretty good. It's the Red Sox, the Yankees, and then the Mets. So the Mets are consistently hitting the ball hard, which is look, is a bloop single sometimes the greatest play of a night in a game? Yeah. But if your lineup is hitting rockets a lot, that's even better because at some point that's going to follow through. And maybe we see that with the Mets. I'm not saying it these Mets. I'm not saying it guarantees it, but there are reasons to think that this, the offensive streakiness, the offensive lack of production lately, there's area that it can change in.
I'm one of those people that I don't want to say I dismiss it. It just frustrates me that it's become the highlight of things now because I'm watching these games. I know we've run into some tough luck. I can see when a ball is hit hard, but now it's given to me as an excuse or like, oh, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be okay because when top 3, and I'm not mocking you, Anthony. I'm just saying.
No, I understand.
This is how
I look. It's weird because when you see it, and I'm not saying this about the Mets booth or anything, but like when you sometimes when you're watching a game and it becomes a big joke that like a 59 mile an hour ground ball that somehow got through the middle scores 2 runs, and yet the next guy who comes up hits an absolute blast that goes right to into an infielder's glove, and you're like, and they chuckle about it. Yeah, the result was better with the bloop, but almost every batter in baseball, Ichiro is kind of a difference here. but almost every hitter in baseball is going up there trying to hit the ball hard somewhere. And all exit velocity does is tell us how successful they were or weren't at it. And I think that's interesting because if you look at the guys who are hitting the ball hard, most of the time, that's some of the best hitters in baseball.
Yeah. Listen, for me, I don't even know about exit velocity on this guy, but it's just my frustration comes with like I feel like they're trying to make every hitter the same type of hitter, and it's just go for slug.
I would agree with that. I agree with you there. There is the game has changed to a point where the launch angle. I mean, look, hitting home runs is the best single thing you can do in an at bat. But there are far too many players who are selling out for their 20 home run seasons that are, that's sort of interesting, but not really that interesting. But they're all selling out for that, trying to hit the ball in the air. And we're, there's all these strikeouts, it's no longer a shame to strike out. It's no longer like something that you should feel bad about striking out. Oh, it's just another out. At least I didn't hit into a double play. I mean, putting the ball in play, there's value there in some ways. And, I feel like the Manfred man in extra innings has taught us that some of these baseball skills that are, mocked, like bunting, and I've mocked bunting, done my share of mocking of bunting, but like if you can hold your opponent, you're playing at home and hold your opponent scoreless in their half of the 10th, you better bunt that guy over to third so you can score him on an out in the next inning. And today's hitters, most of them can't get the bunt down.
Yeah, that's another thing that drives me crazy. And again, like there's some certain times where they try to get a bunt down, and you're like, "What the heck are you doing, Soto? I don't need you bunting." Francisco Lindor, swing the damn bat. But then you run into the situation where I don't give a damn who you are. Lay this button down and let's play baseball. And here's two things before we go. We're gonna go to Jonathan next. We're gonna go Jonathan, Joe, Jeff, Petey, Heffer, Danny, Kyle, Frank. That's how we're gonna do it for now. We're gonna start dropping some of you guys so I can bring other people up because we have other requests. One thing that's driving me crazy lately, Anthony, is a guy like Luis Torrens. Where when Luis Torrens came up here, we loved Luis Torrens. He was, to me, what I always say all the time, professional hitter. He's not trying to do too much. He takes what they give him. He knows what he is, and he's going to hit me that ball in between the first and second baseman, right over the second base bag, so on and so forth. And now, more often than not, like the last time I was in the ballpark, begging him not to do this, and he does exactly this and flies out right to the warning track. And Luis Torrens has become warning track power, Luis Torrens. And I'm wondering, is that because now they're trying to get some more power out of Luis Torrens? No, I don't need that. Leave me the professional hitter. That's one thing that drives me crazy. The other thing is, I don't know if you know about this or not, but that famous podcast that Juan Soto was on before the season, or right as the season started, and Vlad Jr., that's in Spanish, done by my Dominican compatriots. I watched that podcast a lot. Abriendo el podcast. And they talk to all these veteran ball players, these retired ball players. And one thing that's in common, and one thing that this game has gotten away from, and maybe that's why, maybe what you said earlier, the fact that now in baseball, the RBIs become insignificant, right? Well, those guys took pride in driving a run in. When there was a guy on base, Vladdy Guerrero Sr. said, "I'm going to drive that guy in no matter what." Instead now is, no, I'm going to hit a home run. And if I don't hit a home run, I might as well strike out. Anything else, forget about it. And that mentality, I think it drives me sick.
Hector, a few years ago, I was lucky enough to go on MLB Network on one of their shows, and I was on with John Heyman and Brian Kenny, and we were having a discussion about RBI. And it was actually a great discussion because, Brian Kenny is one of those people who looks at RBI and is not, says that it's not, it's not a great stat. And that's fine. I allow him his opinion. He's a very bright guy, loves baseball, and thinks deeply about baseball. But John Heyman had the perfect answer about RBI. He read Brian the list of the all-time RBI leaders. And when you hear the all-time RBI leader list, I mean, it's Hank Aaron, it's Babe Ruth, it's Albert Pujols, it's Lou Gehrig, it's all of these Mount Rushmore types in baseball. And So whatever it's worth, I understand that it may not be the fairest stat in the world. If you're a great hitter and you play on a bad team, or where you bat in the lineup restricts your opportunities for RBI. I get all those criticisms, but I also agree with the old time players, like you say, who are love to take advantage of those chances and relish it when they do. And it's a big deal. And it's more than just opportunity. It's a big moment, and it's seizing it. And there's plenty of people in baseball who will argue with you that, the moment, it's just baseball. The moment doesn't matter, but these guys have heartbeats and blood pumping, and everybody reacts differently to everything. And for them to hang in there and get their RBI, I think that's a great thing, and that's why I like RBI, and I think that it's a worthwhile stat.
Absolutely. Let's try to get to more people here, and let me get out of the way. Jonathan, how you doing, my guy?
Hey, what's going on? How's everything, Hector? Thank you, Anthony, for coming on our guy Hector's space and
Oh, you bet. And
giving us
I
your
always enjoy
time.
it.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Yeah, listen, as long as Brian likes the shredder, that's what he is. He
Yeah.
just puts you in the shredder, and that's. But yeah. But that being said, beginning of the year, to your point earlier, how the pitchers were pitching phenomenal. The starting lineup, the starting pitchers were great, phenomenal. Losing AJ Minter hurt us also, but when you guys pitch 4 innings, 5 innings, and you constantly need to get to the bullpen every single day, you will burn out a Brazaban. You will burn out a Reed Gary. They'll have that dead on period, or what, but that's what happened, and that's why in the bullpen we gave up a bunch of runs and we lost games as well. Uh, that's what I was gonna. That's one of the points that I had. The next thing is I love what I see from our bullpen right now. That
Yes.
we got these guys. The big pickup, I call it the four big pickup. Why do I say four? Is because I think that getting back Brooks Raley is big.
Yeah.
Getting Soto, Gregory Soto, which I wanted all season to be here, we got him, and then these two guys, one from Rogers and Helsley, that is lights out. Now, if we can score some runs especially if we get into the playoffs, I really believe that this team can play with anyone, 100%.
I agree with you. I absolutely, and I think the bullpen is a big key to that. And I know we've been talking a lot about the offense tonight, and everybody's been grinding about the Met failures on offense, and wondering why. Oh, it was only Cedric Mullins on offense at the deadline. They didn't do enough. They didn't do enough. They should have traded for Eugenio Suarez. They should have done this. They should have done that. I think that David Stearns and the Mets addressed the area that needed it the most, and that was the bullpen. Because I think that they would have just, even if the offense got going and got better at that time, they would have started losing a lot of 12-8 games. And I feel like now that the bullpen is in a position where if they get into a series, if they get into October and they get into series when there's all those days off, and you can just keep reusing your elite arms in almost every game, if not every game, then the Mets have an advantage over almost any team, because they have better relief pitchers right now than almost everyone else in baseball. I'm not going to say everyone, because there's a few dynamite bullpens out there right now, particularly in San Diego. But wow, I think the Met bullpen is loaded now, and it was not loaded when they kept getting all these guys. Had the Syracuse shuttle going, where they were getting guys back up here and using them and then getting them out to get a fresh arm up. Now they have a bunch of guys who are really good, and it can be something in the playoffs.
If your worst pitcher in the bullpen is Ryan Stanek, you're in good shape.
Right. He's throwing 100. I mean, I know, he's had some blowups lately. I get it, but he still throws 100.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Thank you. I appreciate you. We'll get other guys on as well.
Okay.
I almost
Cool.
say get rid of him and bring back Brazelbon, but that's just me. I almost had enough of Ryan Stanek. Hey, listen, everybody, we got a lot of people still requesting to speak, and obviously, as everyone knows, I can only have 10 speakers. So,
I'll drop down, Hector.
thank you, Jonathan. I was gonna say, Jonathan and Lynn, if you have anything real quick to say, and then I'm gonna just drop you
No,
guys
no, no.
down.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
All right, hang around
Thanks,
because
Hector.
you know
Thanks. Mhm.
Anthony said an
Appreciate it.
hour, and we got like 10 minutes left. This is gonna be interesting. But yeah, so guys, let's try to make it a little quick. Like again, I want to respect everybody's time. I want to give everybody fair time, but let's respect Anthony's time above all. You know what I'm saying, and try to get him out of here as quick as possible. With that being said, go ahead, Joe, and I'm going to try to bring more people up.
What's up, Hector? What's up, Anthony?
Forget me. Just say
Hello.
hi to Anthony, and let's go.
Yeah, man. Good work on SNY. Enjoy watching you.
Thank you.
Couple things. You know, the thing about the hitting. Look, the one thing I say every year for the last, I don't know how many years, the Mets don't hit. They never hit. I mean, this is just ask Jacob DeGrom if they hit. I mean, you know, it's the same thing every year. It's the same movie we watch every single year. And even this year, when we were 21 games over 500, we got there because of the pitching. They were on
Yeah.
a historic pace where they had 5 guys under 2.5 ERA at one time. Which
Right.
is, you know, and they weren't hitting then either. They were winning games 3-2, 4-3, 5-4. You know. But you know, now the pitching's come back to earth. You know, we lost Canning and the other guys, Nick Holmes and you know, and other guys have kind of come back to earth. And you know, Minaya and Sang weren't pitching, but you know, even they're struggling now. So we're still not hitting. So the thing is, look, you could keep changing the batting order. You want to flip Lindor, put him lead off, and do that. That does. It's like, you know, arranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. After a while, it's not going to change. I just don't know what it is. It's like an epidemic with this team. They just don't hit, and it's like that every year. So I don't know what it is. I mean, you bring in Soto, you think, okay, now we got Soto, and then he falls into the same trap as everyone else that comes. But then we all know that, you know, we've seen it with Lindor. We saw with Beltran, of course, the first year where they come here and they struggle, and then they, you know, the following year Beltran basically almost won the MVP.
Yeah.
And Lindor had a big year in 22, the year after he struggled the first year. So, you know, I don't want to. But Hector and I always talk about, we don't want to throw this year away, though. Okay, I mean, you know, it's great next year; he'll be great. But you know what? I want to win this year. So
The window's open. You got to go. Yeah, they got to go for it. The window is
Yeah.
open. That's why the relief trades were so good.
I'm so
I
glad
just
you
wonder.
said that.
My question to you is this: Minaya is going to pitch on, I guess, Sunday. Maybe I don't know if they're going to have an opener first and then have him pitch or whatever. If he fails, and let's say he gets lit up and gives up 3-4 runs, do you see McLean or Sprout getting called up?
Manaya or
Maybe-
Montas you talking about, Joe?
Montas. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I meant Montas.
Right.
Montas is pitching Sunday, so I mean, I guess they're giving him
Saturday.
one
No,
more
I thought that was
shot.
Saturday.
Oh, is it Saturday? I thought
I
it was
think
Sunday.
so.
I'm sorry. Okay, so they're going to give one more shot. They may have an opener start and then bring him in. If he fails, I mean, is this it? Is this like his last chance, and then they're going to bring up Sprout or McLean? Do you think next week to take his spot?
I mean, it's a fair question, and I feel like that in recent weeks, David Stearns has appeared to be more open to that, at least in his public comments. I'm not sure what Sprout and McLean, what more they need to do in AAA to show that they're ready to pitch in the big leagues, because they're both thriving there. I mean, Sprout is pitching; he might still be pitching on SNY right now. I watched the first 2 innings, and his stuff is very lively, and you know, I'd seen him pitch a little bit before, but I watched the first 2 innings, and it looks really good. Like, it looks like he could pitch in the big leagues.
What are they afraid of? I mean, you see the Yankees, they bring up Schlittler, they have Warren, young pitchers. Why can't we? I don't understand. Why can't we do it? I just don't understand. I mean, we've seen guys like Harvey back in 2011. You know, he struggled in AAA. He came here. He never looked back. He
Right.
11 Arizona Diamondbacks, his first start. He never looked back. I mean, maybe one of these kids could be the next Harvey. How do we know? I mean,
yeah, I mean, it certainly is possible, and there's plenty to like about both of them. And they seem to have, you know, in development, they always want them to make, you know, hit their markers and progress, and they seem to have done that. I mean, the club has basically admitted that publicly, that they have been, you know, that they've been progressing at AAA. That, you know, the next spot is here, and you know, it might be time to do it with one of them, because look, they've got innings problems throughout the rotation. Anybody other than David Peterson, I think, what is the stat? In the last 50 games, he's the only one to go to deliver at least 6 innings in a start, and he's done it like 8 times over that span, but nobody else has. I think Clay Holmes is the last one, and that was in June. That's 2 months ago. So they need innings from starters. They need some length, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they had a 6-man rotation and one of those guys was up here. If Frankie Montas pitches well in his next start, will that put a pause on that? I don't know. I mean, he hasn't pitched well at all. I'm not so sure what they're holding a spot for him for. Look, it's always great when highly touted youngsters come up because it's always fascinating to see how good they are. And I'm all for it if they want to bring these guys up. But it sounds like they're more open to it than they have been in the past, and at least that's a step in that direction.
One real quick one. My thing is this with Stearns. What was the love affair with Frankie Montas? He signed him like November 1st, the first day of free agency. Like he basically ran to his house with a check for $34 million. I mean, nobody else would have signed him but us, probably. I mean, I never understood that. I don't.
It's a fair point because also I think if I remember at the time that contract. That contract was looked at as like, oh my God, the pitching market is going to be nuts this winter. And then at the end of the pitching market, there were guys out there who were better than Frankie Montas, who were not getting 2 for 34.
Yeah, like Quintana, who we should have brought back. We saw how great he was for us in the postseason,
right?
Down the stretch, I don't get it, but Anthony,
right.
Thanks again, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, Joe. Anthony, what do you think any of these dates have anything to do with? Then I want to bring up the August 15th date, which I think people are mixed up on, don't really know what it really means. It's been thrown around lately, and that's been dismissed as earning you an extra year of service time. And all. Do you think any of these dates really have anything to do with it, or is it really them hitting these markers that they set for these guys? What do you think?
I don't know the answer to that, Hector. Have MLB teams manipulated service time in the past? Yeah. Of course. Is that the case here? I don't know why anyone would do it if they had a team that they thought could win the World Series and, or at least make a lot of October noise. I don't see why anybody would do that. So I think they wanted to see some stuff. They wanted to see these guys like dominate the AAA hitters. And I believe that they've done that now. And so now I think there's an opportunity.
Gotcha. Jeff, how you doing, man?
Hey, Hector. Hey, Anthony. How you guys doing this evening?
Hello.
Hey. So, Anthony, 2 quick questions. One about the Mets and one about baseball in general. About the Mets, and you touched on it with the launch angle and exit velo and stuff like that. But to me, 2 of the more frustrating hitters this year have been Nimmo and McNeil. Because, with Nimmo, everybody suspected that he changed his approach because they were batting him 4th and 5th in the lineup, sometimes 3rd. And he was getting away from that on-base percentage machine, which got him to the big leagues. And now they're batting him leadoff, and he hasn't switched back to that on-base percentage machine. I looked, in his last 30 games, he has like 8 or 9 walks, which is horrible for him.
Yeah.
And same thing with McNeil. Like, McNeil was this high average guy. He actually has his highest OPS, but he's batting 240, And, people were saying, oh, maybe because they're batting him 5th, but they've been batting him 7th and 8th sometimes this year, too. So, is it just that people are figuring them out, they're really not as good as we think they are, or they really did change their approach and it's so difficult to switch it back? But, I just want to know about that. And then I have a general baseball question for you.
I think in Nimmo's case, he found out that his power was developing later in his career. And, he had some good years with some power. I personally preferred the Nimmo who was like a 400 on base, 440-ish slugging kind of player. I think that's a better player than I know he's got 19. I'm looking at his stats right now. He's got 19 homers, but and that's fine. It's 4th on the team. But I loved it when he was on base all the time. That really was his calling card skill at the time, and it's not the same anymore. Which is too bad. He's still having a very good career, and but I think he's gone over to that. And I don't think that just because he's been, he's been put up to leadoff. Leadoff has changed over the years too. I mean, Kyle Schwarber is the Phillies leadoff hitter, and he just hits home runs. So I don't think his batting order position is going to make him change his approach in that regard. But yeah, I definitely get your point about the old Nimmo. The old Nimmo is really good. And McNeil, he's trying to hit the ball hard. He's talked about, that would be his thing. He went away from the idea of trying to place the ball, and but I always felt like he was extra interesting because he had such bat to ball skills, contact, and all that stuff. I mean, he still has more walks than strikeouts, which is nearly unheard of in today's game. Even Juan Soto has struck out more times than he's walked this year, which is crazy. But McNeil's actually been okay, a pretty productive player for the Mets. I know he's got a 249 average, but he's still got he's still like the third highest OPS plus guy on the team, which is interesting. Says a little bit about their offense. What was your general baseball question?
My general baseball question is like, and I've been saying this for the past couple of days, but the Mets, in spring training, they backed off playing guys. We saw it earlier when Edwin Diaz didn't pitch for 10 or 12 straight games when the Mets were trailing or close. I feel like the Mets have kind of played the long game this year. Sort of like the Yankees have been accused of doing that sometimes when they were really good, where it's kind of not going pedal to the metal day in and day out, realizing it's a long season. With more and more teams making the playoffs, and maybe even more if they go to 32 teams, is baseball going to become the way of the NBA, where the regular season is basically all about playoff seeding and everything else is kind of meaningless?
Load management ruling everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a fair question. There are already so many playoff teams that it feels like there's a little bit of a devalue to the regular season, which is too bad because at 162 games, it's so long that you should be rewarded for making it through the marathon. At the peak of your game, and I don't know. I think all the opportunities now for the really good teams to lose in short series sort of makes it a little bit weird. Not that the playoffs aren't great every year. They are. They're endlessly fascinating. And the Mets, were a great example last year when they were dead until Pete hit that ball over the fence in Milwaukee, and then they went all the way to the NLCS. So yeah, I don't know the answer to that. That's something to keep an eye on, and it'd be too bad if the marathon were less meaningful, though.
Well, Carlos Mendoza told my buddy Sal that they were trying to win a division, and they shortcut as hell fool me sometimes. And I wonder if David Stearns know that, but they need to start acting like it, and that I like to hear because I don't like that mentality. Like, oh well, we're just gonna ride the season out, and then as long as we get in,
right,
we figure it out when we get in. That drives
at the
me
same
crazy.
time. At the same time, you can't ride guys into the ground in July because you feel like you need to win that game so you can stay in first. You know what I mean? You have to.
Yeah, I get that.
You got to take care of the relief pitchers too, because when they are overworked, as we've discussed, that's when things blow up too.
No, I get that.
In other words, it's really hard. Baseball is really hard.
Oh, it sure is. Listen, softball's hard for me, so who am I to talk? As far as McNeil, I wish he was more Luis Arias than whatever the hell he's trying to become.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
And when you guys are talking about even with Nimmo and himself, it just takes me back to something that I keep referencing over and over and over. And to me, is why I think Jeremy Barnes is more of the problem than anything. Is because when I hear them talk, when I read articles and them talking about them changing their approach, it has nothing to do with whether Nimmo's batting first or fourth, Jeff. Him looking for power and trying to seek power started before that. Remember that before the season last year, I came out here and I even asked Anthony about dropping Nimmo to fourth because Nimmo was exhibiting more power and people were getting frustrated that Nimmo wasn't taking as many walks and being that base guy that he came up being.
Right. Yeah, that's not his game anymore.
And that was a product of Jeremy Barnes. And the same thing with when I read articles with Jeff McNeil early on in this season, and he's talking about his changes, who's there telling me again about how, yes, we're trying to maximize power? Jeremy Barnes. Who told me, yes, there's going to be pitches where you can put it in play and get that base hit that you want, Hector, from Luis Torrens. He didn't specifically say Luis Torrens, but he said, well, we can get a pitch that we can put in play and get an opposite field hit. No, we don't want that. We'll let that pitch go because we'd rather go and maximize power. And then I got to watch Luis Torrens hit the ball on a warning track. So when Lynn comes up here and says, why the hell we got bases loaded and Peter's just not trying to just put the ball in play and drive that run in, is because they're trying to maximize power all the time. It just makes me sick.
Anyway. Well, and, agents are a part of it too, and players as well, because, guys get paid off of home runs.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you add 20 home runs to your skill set, you look down the line, that's something that might get you paid more.
I don't see Luis Torrens. I don't want to pick on Luis Torrens. I'm not trying to pick on him. Anyway, let me.
Well, to me, Hector, we didn't get into it before, but to me, that the backup catcher is the baseball equivalent of the backup quarterback. When the regular catcher isn't doing great, everybody loves the backup catcher, and everybody loves the backup quarterback in the NFL after the starter throws a few interceptions. Luis Torrens should be the Mets backup. He should not take too much playing time away from a guy who has the capability. I'm not saying he's doing it, but Francisco Alvarez can be a real big star in the majors. We'll see if he gets there, but Luis Torrens is not good enough to take playing time away from him. And, it's nice to have him around. He's an exceptional defensive player. He's a great thrower. He does all the catching really well, Torrens, but Alvarez could be special. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But, when everybody was going crazy about Torrens, Torrens has a 5-something OPS.
Right. No, he definitely was exposed with more playing time, which I think in the bottom of our hearts we all knew, but we were just like frustrated so much with Alvy that we were like, you know what, just these guys, he's earned equal playing time. But yes, we've seen it play out that no, there's no way in heck. And again, I'm not trying to pick on Luis Torrens. I'm just trying to highlight.
Me neither.
How just like I like the player. I like what he was. I like the professional hitter that what he was. And I'm just not seeing that now. Is that because he's played too much? Maybe some of it is that. And again, I don't know what they're telling him in the batting cages, but I do wonder, is it him now also trying to seek more power? Like, no, that's not your game. Some guys, it don't matter what the hell you do, you're not going to be a home run hitter. You're not going to get you that 20 home runs that Anthony's mentioned a couple of times. So tell your agent, like, nah, you better make me some money some other ways. Anyways, what do we got? We got Anthony. How much longer you got, man? You know we're over the hour, right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm having such a good time, Hector. Let's keep going.
Okay, there we go. There you go. You heard it, people. But still, let's try to be a little quick. Anyways, we got Petey, Hefe. I think Danny left. Kyle might have left. I'm sorry, guys. So it'll be Frank. But right now we got Petey. Go ahead, Petey.
Thanks, Hector. Hey, Anthony, how are you? Always a good listen, and appreciate your work.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Anthony. If I'm on Twitter a lot, and I don't feel the same vibe at the stadium like I do on Twitter. Like the fans are giving up, but Citi Field, the other night being there, the Mets had to win that game and they lost. Like that was a brutal loss on Monday night, and I don't know. For me, I think the Mets are going to make the playoffs, but I'm just saying the hope that the fan base, it's worse than Yankee fans now, Anthony. Do you sense that? Like I'm serious.
Wow, that's a dark place right there.
Well, Anthony,
Yankee fans are like they are teetering on the edge right now.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say, Anthony. Thank you.
Oh, you bet. I don't know. I happened to be at the game on Monday in the stands. It was one heck of a game. It would have been a great uplifting win if they won. Obviously it was not. I feel like Met fans should be more hopeful than that. Certainly more hopeful than Yankee fans, who I don't know what to say about them with the way they are, especially right now.
Anthony, I'm just saying that it's like we're spoiled now because of like the Yankee fans were spoiled with Steinbrenner's money, and now that Cohen has it, it's
Okay.
bad, man.
Right. Oh, I get you now. That's interesting. Yeah, yeah, that's a fair. I think that's a fair observation. Because I have felt like since Steve Cohen became the owner, that there was a real sort of almost overt cockiness by the Met fan that you didn't see in years past because of the wallet. And that's great. It's got to be, baseball is not just buy a championship. I mean, if that could happen, then then the Yankees would win every year, or they would try to win every year with just their wallet. And it doesn't work that way. So you have the brains behind the cash too. And I think that, each season, I think since they've had the team, sort of maybe even teaches the owner himself a little bit about that, how it's not just, yeah, we're really good businessmen and we have a lot of money, so we're going to win the World Series this year. Like if baseball came down to that, it wouldn't be nearly as fascinating as it is. But yeah, I mean, like I know I know this season has been a disappointment so far, but I feel like if you're watching the Mets, you should hold on to some hope.
Thanks, Anthony.
And
You bet.
the owner tells us hope is not a strategy, but as fans, all we have is hope. We can't. We can talk about strategies. We can come up with strategies. We can't implement them. You can. So
Yeah,
hope is
right.
not
I
a
mean,
strategy for you, but it is for me. And yeah,
right.
hope is the last thing I give up. I have hope. I definitely do. It may not sound like it sometimes. They make me sick sometimes. But I definitely have hope. And for me, like, listen, man, I get frustrated right now, and I'm upset because I believe in the players. I believe in the players. So it's like I tell Petey, like, and I get what he's trying to say. And there are man, I think we all fall into it, right? We all fall into it. We felt like we were gonna go out there and get Juan Soto. There was nobody gonna tell us otherwise. We thought we were gonna get Yamamoto. There was nobody that was gonna tell us otherwise. Who's gonna offer these guys more money than us? Nobody's gonna
Yamamoto is
offer.
a great example of why just money is not the only thing.
You understand? So,
Yeah,
like,
that's a great example.
I get it, but right now, when I'm frustrated, the last person on my mind is Steve Cohen. But that's me. I know some people go right away. Oh, it's Steve Cohen's fault because they didn't do this in the offseason. They didn't do this in the trade deadline. Why didn't Steve Cohen do this? Why didn't Steve Cohen do that? I get it,
I don't know.
nephew.
I don't know how many. I don't know how many. I don't know how many complaints you can have about player acquisition this year, starting with free agency last year. Did they make some mistakes? Yeah, absolutely. But they also gave out the biggest contract in sports history. They also went in at the deadline and fixed a problem area. Like they're in a position to do some noise, not to make some noise, not just this year, but going forward.
No, for sure. That's why even going back to when Lynn came up and and talking about the DH and not just Lynn, but the conversation that led into the DH and the fact that we didn't go out there and add after Juan Soto and all that. And I understand that. There's obviously we could have upgraded the DH. We could have done that. At the same time, we spent years here talking about how we needed a star to add to what we thought was, a core that we had questions about. Well, now because the way they're playing, I'm starting to have questions again, maybe unfairly, right? But we needed to add that star, that player, that guy that was going to take the pressure off these guys and lead them. And whenever we spoke about that, the main guy that came up was a Juan Soto. We get that guy, and here we are still talking about we should have got more, we should have got more, we should have got more. I'm like, man, how much more? How much more?
Yeah, I mean,
I
it'd be
thought, a platoon of Winker and Marte at DH. I didn't think that was a bad thing when you got Juan Soto, Peter Alonso, and Francisco Lindor. Adding
right.
to that Brandon Nimmo and Jeff McNeil.
And if all the brand name hitters were performing, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Exactly. If Mark Vientos didn't fall off a cliff, maybe we have a different conversation. If Francisco Alvarez, maybe didn't get hurt and get rushed up here after the injury and was producing better, maybe we'd have a different conversation. So,
Right.
We wouldn't be so concerned about Tyrone Taylor and his lack of production at the plate because who the hell cares if everybody else is doing their job? And even the Luis Torrens. But I digress. Anyways, Jefe is gonna get loud
Yes,
up in here.
sir. Hey, welcome to Mets Twitter, Mr. Anthony.
Hello. Happy
All
to
right,
be here.
listen. I'm gonna be fast. I'm gonna get right to the point. Been a fan, watching on TV as a 10-year-old kid, winning 69. I was at Game 7 in 86.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a real fan. I'm not one of these just joined today fans. Let me
Oh,
catch
boy.
you up on Mets Twitter.
Oh,
All right.
boy.
You mentioned retweets. You mentioned receipts earlier when you were talking about Mr. Steve Cohen. Well, we got receipts on the hitting coach. All right. I put it up in the Jumbotron. He's been going back and forth with fans on Instagram. He's had a burner account here on the X. You know, you talked about how the team got off to the hot start. I put the simplest stat because Hector and me with exit velocity and shit, like, excuse the word, exit velocity, so forth and so on. I'm not a real analytic guy, but here's an analytic stat for you. Started the season 2-2, had an incredible April 19-8. Then they treaded water basically all the way until August, and now they're 1-5. So heads should roll. All right, we got a hitting coach that's doing the wrong thing. He's making the organization look bad, and we can't hit with runners in scoreless position. So I say Mr. Chavez should go as a sacrificial lamb, and we should try to go get J.D. Martinez out of his pro pickleball contract and get him back on the Mets. Get him in the clubhouse. Let's start shaking some stuff around here. 16 anonymous listeners. Let's hope Mr. Cohen and Mr. Stearns are one of those 16 anonymous listeners. Now, one other glaring thing that Mets Twitter, because it's a great place, Mets Twitter. I'm glad you're on it, Mr. Anthony. Mets Twitter has also exposed that Mr. Mendoza seems to be a bench coach. Everybody on Mets Twitter thinks that he's a puppet with strings above him, making him make his move because of analytics.
He was a bench coach at the Yankees. You do know that, right, Heather?
Who is jumping in here?
It's Mo.
Hey, you know what? You should drop this kid down, bro. He's a Yankee fan and he's a troll. Drop him down.
Guys.
Get this kid out of here right now.
No. Jefe, relax. I'll control the space.
All right.
Mo,
I just want you to know I'm your friend.
I got you. Respect everybody's time, Mo. Don't make me do what they want me to do.
I've grown tired of them. All right. Let me finish my point. I'm landing my helicopter, Mr. Anthony. All right. Those are the two glaring mistakes with the Mets. They got off to the hot start. They're treading water. And my main man, I think he's in here, Master Flip, had a great tweet today about the next 15 games. They got to go out and play Milwaukee. And then after them, they got to play another real good team. I believe it's the Mariners. Then they play Atlanta twice. And Atlanta hates us. It's always tough. And the Nationals might want to screw us over too. So a lot of people are like, Master Flip's a great guy. He says 12-3 in those 15 games. I say 8-7. Just keep treading water. And then finally, somewhere along the line, get hot. Because when you're 1-5 in August, you need to do something. So maybe fire your hitting coach and bring in Martinez, Beltran, somebody that can fire up this team and get it to where it needs to be. I'm landed my helicopter.
Thank you, Jefe. Oh, my goodness. De lo mío, usted está escondido por ahí abajo. Wow, yo no sabía que estaba escondido de lo mío. That's the flip. Don't let me down, bro. Anyways, I don't know, Anthony. You had anything to say to that?
I mean, yeah. One thing I would bring up is I understand that fans want somebody to blame. Like ever since hitting coaches became a thing in baseball, they've been the easiest person to blame. It doesn't always
it's a
work.
bad look is what I'm saying. for him to be going back and forth with people on Instagram.
Have you heard about that, Anthony? Have you heard about that? The burner account
good.
situation. It appears that he's been going at some of the fans and stuff, either on Instagram, X. I don't know. I can't keep up with all this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I know that there's something that's out there, but I haven't. I don't know about it.
So I think was it Abby or one of the female beat writers even addressed it. Like, you guys are nuts thinking that he really has a burner account and all of this stuff. But I'm like, Jesus, it's even getting to that point.
Well, Instagram stuff is him. So I'll put it up there again. Metcast Pod, Ray and Dan Bartels in a Metcast Pod talk specifically about it.
I've seen it a bunch of times. As far as still stuff, Easy Ethan is the guy. I don't know if he's in here who seems to be good at it with him more often than not, and he posted it a lot.
I'd like to get somebody in that locker room like Martinez or Beltran. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? And I'd like to know
Anthony. I even and Hefe, I'm gonna get ready to drop you guys some other people that want to come up. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
I love you, bro.
I even listen. I've had it, and early on, I'm like, it's not the hitting coaches, it's the players. The players got to get it done. And to be honest, again, when I listen, because we don't even listen to Eric Chavez, one thing that does bother me is I don't hear the hitters talk about Eric Chavez. I was talking to Eric, and Eric told me this, or Eric told me that, or this. It's mostly Barnes. When I see an article, more often than not, it's Barnes. The few times that I have heard Eric Chavez speak, I don't hate what I hear. I like his philosophy. I like his mentality as far as hitting. The one I don't like is Barnes. But at this point, I'm like, they both need to go. Because if you're the lead hitting coach, Chavez, if you're the lead hitting coach and this guy's overtaking you, then you ain't got no cojones. You need to get the heck out of here. And I did say, you know what? I'm sorry, Anthony. At this point where we are in the season, I don't know if I can bring an outside guy, right? I have to bring someone that kind of knows guys, that's been around. And the person that comes to mind for me is Carlos Beltran. Quite often we see him behind the batting cage talking to guys. We read articles where, Beltran was talking to Alvarez, Beltran was talking to Vientos, Beltran was talking to that guy. He's already part of the organization. I would bring him in and say, you finish the season out in the interim, and we'll figure out what we do in the offseason. You think that's worth even thinking about? Oh, I'm crazy.
I don't know. I can't speak to it. I don't have enough knowledge about the give and take between the players and the hitting coaches there. All I know is that firing the hitting coach often feels like this easy solution, and that it's going to open up all kinds of new avenues of offense. And I'm not sure I buy that. And you don't have to look too far into the Mets' past to find an example of where firing the hitting coach didn't do anything but make the players mad, and that's when they fired Chili Davis in 2021, which, by the way, did not seem to work as a strategy for them. So, I'm not so sure that this team needs a jolt because they haven't played, because they haven't hit well. I'm not sure that's the big answer. Not
even when you listen to Carlos Mendoza talk about the adjustments, in-game adjustments and stuff like that last night, because to me that's another what are these coaches doing then? They're the
that opens up the criticism of the hitting coaches. But look, there have been times that where Mendy has gone out of his way to praise the hitting coaches too, unbidden, where he hasn't even been asked about them, and he brings them up and says something about them. I don't know whether he is sort of sensed that there's some heat on them, or at least some external, unhappiness with them, and that's why he's doing it. But look, losing, start firing everybody, and the Mets still have a chance to do something. If you really think that the two hitting coaches are holding back guys who are making, I can't even count as high as the money that Nimmo, Alonso, Soto, and Lindor are making. That's $1 billion plus worth of baseball player. You think two hitting coaches are holding those guys back? I buy that a lot less than they're not performing. That's what the problem is that those guys aren't performing.
I hear that. And I said early on, when Juan Soto comes to the team, These guys are asking Juan Soto, what can we do for you? What can we do for you? But now I do wonder now as the season goes on and Juan Soto needs help trying to figure things out, are they capable of helping him? I don't know. I don't know. It sure as heck it's not looking like it. When
Yeah, I
you
don't
bring
know
in a
either.
guy,
And like this is it for Soto, it's his first year of working with those guys.
right? But Anthony, when you bring in a guy who's known as a patient hitter, someone who works the count, who works pitches, and you talk to me about your philosophy as a team is to have controlled aggression and swing early in counts and jump on first pitches. I'm like, what the hell are we doing here?
Well, I mean, Soto does lead the major leagues in walks, so I think he's doing. I think
He's still doing his thing.
conducting his at he's conducting his at bats the way he wants to. He's just not, you know, it's not as successful, obviously, as we're used to.
Right. All right, got you. We're gonna go. Some people have dropped off, but I think it's Kyle, Frank, Kenny, Randy, Top, and then Charles. Kyle, what's up, kid? Thanks for your patience, Kyle. Unlike you, I appreciate it. Oh, that's why. It's because your mic is frozen. You're just frozen on my screen as a speaker, but you're not ready to speak. That's why you've been patient. Oh, and Michael, I thought you had dropped off. I see you, Michael. I see you. Kyle's not ready, or Kyle's dropped off, so we'll come back to him later. Frank, you there? Big Frank, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anthony, thanks for joining us, our little Mets therapy session. Quick little nugget. My grandmother's last name was McCarron, so there's a fun fact.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. I wanted to get your opinion on Clay Holmes this year. I feel like he's gotten kind of like a bad rap this year.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for bringing this up. Go on,
Because
please.
considering the fact it's year one of his transition from reliever to starter, me personally, my opinion, I don't think the Mets next anymore for what he's given us this year. I would like to know your opinion on that.
Oh my goodness, I'm so happy that you brought this up. I feel like Clay Holmes has been getting unfairly criticized because he's only going 5 innings a start. We got Clay Holmes. He's got to go to the bullpen. This is going to kill the Mets. Well, this is what Clay Holmes was going to be, and I think the Mets realized that going into the season. I mean, he's second on the team in innings to Peterson. I realize injuries have played a part in why other guys aren't up there higher than that. But like the real Clay Holmes is not the problem in the rotation. Would it be better if he could go 6 innings? Yes, but this is his first year doing it. And the idea that he was going to be pitching, deep into games was not reasonable. And also the idea, I know that it's been hip lately to say like, well, they'll just put Holmes in the bullpen. Why? He's probably their second best starter right this second. I know the length isn't there. I know Sean Manaea will overtake him at some point. Maybe Kodai Senga will overtake him at a point too if he gets his act together. He's not pitching very well right now. But I think Holmes has been really good. I don't think they were ever going to put him in the bullpen. I don't think that was ever like a plan because they convinced this guy to sign here to be a starting pitcher and to make this a thing. You're only going 5 innings. You've got to go to the bullpen, Clay. Sorry, Frankie Montas is taking your spot in the rotation. Okay. So I am 100% locked with you on Clay Holmes. He's gotten a bad rap.
I think a lot of people were expecting like prime 1998 Greg Maddux from him. And it's just, I just thought it was, very see a lot of people complaining about him, and it's just transitioning from reliever to starter. It's asking a lot, and from what he's given, to me he's kind of delivered in my eyes.
Absolutely, I agree 100%, and it makes me excited to see what the Mets can get out of him next year. I feel like if you're looking at a playoff rotation right now, if you need 4 starters in the playoffs, you're looking at some form of Peterson, Holmes, Senga, and Manaea. He's making playoff starts in my mind.
Thank you so much, Anthony. I appreciate you donating your time to us, Mets fans.
You bet.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Frank, and I'm right there with Anthony, man. The excitement of you bringing up that topic because, I'm in lockstep with Anthony and you as well. Like, and you guys has heard me in the spaces. Like, I don't understand, what people expected with Clay Holmes. I think he's done perfectly fine. You know what? I'm not even gonna add anything. I'll just say that I'm right there with what Anthony said. I will. I don't want to keep wasting time. Kenny, man, are you here? Because I see you've been going up
Yeah,
and down,
yeah,
up and
yeah.
down, up and down. What's up,
Do you
guys?
hear me, Hector?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Anthony, welcome. Great. Anthony, now if you remember me, I actually sat with you at JJ's wedding.
Oh,
Yeah. And we actually, both of us got up at the same time to get our wives drinks, and you were heading one way. I says, "No, Anthony, follow me," because you said the line was too long, and I took you to the other bar to short
yes.
So, and if anybody doesn't know, Anthony's beautiful wife is Judy Batista that works for the NFL.
Yes.
So, but
Thank
listen,
you.
but listen, I know we got a lot of people, and I'll make it short. Big Met fan, go way back. Actually, my cousin was good friends with Joe Pignatano in 1974. I got to take batting practice with the Mets when Willie Mays was a coach.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. So real quick, I think what the Mets got to start doing is just get a set lineup. Instead of having a revolving door of Beatty, Mauricio, Vientos, McNeil, stay with a set lineup and just write it out. Because you keep changing the lineup. Just give these guys a chance, just one lineup. I'm sick of seeing Tyrone Taylor out there. I don't know what he's doing in the lineup over Mullins here and there, but that's what I want to see. A set lineup and just go with it, especially Vientos, because I think that kid is going to bring in the next, from here to the end of the season. Thank you.
Oh, I like the idea. I think what they've been trying to do, especially with the all those third basemen, is to give those guys a chance for somebody to take the job, and nobody has, unfortunately. Nobody's owned it so far, and the problem is that each one of them is kind of interesting in their own way. I mean, Mauricio's ceiling seems to be the sky, basically. I mean, he's, especially as an offensive player, has he put it all together yet? No, but it's pretty impressive, coming off of the injury that he's got to the major leagues and he's still developing in the major leagues. And he's, sometimes when he hits a ball, it's astonishing. And look, I mean, Vientos, I think you wind him up and put him in the lineup, he's going to hit at least 25 homers in a year, but he's just hasn't had any consistency this year to get that chance to just go be himself. And, I wonder, and this goes for all those guys, are they relaxed enough because maybe they feel like they need to, I got to go 4 for 5 tonight. I got to hit a couple of bombs or I'm not going to be in there tomorrow. So that is a consideration, but I think the Mets to try to get somebody to say, this job is mine, and then we can move on, and nobody's done it.
And you stay relaxed. Basically, before the trade deadline, leading up to the trade deadline that week, that's when all of them got hot. And now after the trade deadline, maybe they relaxed too much, thinking, okay, we're not getting traded. And
Right.
they slack off. But
Right.
appreciate
Of course.
it again.
Oh, you bet. You bet. I mean, of course, getting traded, sometimes is the best thing for a player in their career. I'm not advocating any of those guys getting swapped out or anything like that. But, opportunities are different elsewhere, and who knows how surroundings affect guys. And, maybe it would have been a great thing for the Mets and for the whatever player it was.
All right. Appreciate you, Kenny. Randy, I think you may know this guy, Anthony.
I do
Hi,
indeed know Randy.
What's up, Randy? How you
Yo,
doing?
what's going on? Hey,
Too.
good to hear you. I'm new to kind of Met spaces too, in a way, and Hector's a great guy, man. Hector's a great guy, but man, I love talking Mets. I always ask you questions, but yeah, overall, like the lineup. Do you think that they're going to make a real change in the lineup, like to keep it consistent, or do you think that they're just going to keep waiting for guys, one of those guys like Ronnie Mauricio or Brett Beatty to get hot? Because to me, I feel like I agree with it's too inconsistent. Like that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is a point well made, and the other flip side of playing guys is that then they don't go and just waste away on the bench, because when you do them. They've played a little bit, so they do have, they do have some stuff going on. They're not just ice cold from being buried, and so probably a little bit involved in it as well. It's on the look, like most things in the game, it's on the players. And I mean, if Mauricio had a week where he went 10 for 20 with 4 home runs, he probably wouldn't sit down for a while. And I mean, Vientos, to me, Starling Marte has taken away potential at bats from Vientos as a DA, because Marte's hit a little bit, and he's got experience, and I think they like his at bats now. And so there's it's been tough going for these guys. I mean, Vientos had such an impact on last year's team that it's hard to not give him chances, because even if it hasn't manifested itself yet, you think about look at the postseason he had last year was off the charts. I mean, he's the Mets RBI record holder for a postseason, so you can have this effect on a team with his bat, and he just hasn't done it. And again, I mean, it's a performance-based business, and he's got to do it. But I think the Mets are eager to keep giving him chances because they've seen him do it in the past.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I think when it comes to like Ronnie Mauricio facing lefties being such a struggle for him, it's really tough to play Ronnie Mauricio against lefties, because he's like 3 for 31 or something like that. But
Right.
and the last question, I never asked you this: are you a Met fan or are you a Yankee fan?
You know what? I'm kind of neither. I did grow up as a Met fan. Tom Seaver was my favorite player. That may date me a little bit, but so be it. But that was a while ago. Now, just covering both of the teams, so I don't really have that part in there. But look, it's really exciting to cover. I when I worked at the Daily News, I covered 2 Yankee World Series titles, and if the Mets were to do it here, the whole town gets involved in that, and everybody's talking about it at the whole time. Like last year was so exciting and fun. When the Mets made the NLCS and the Yankees went to the World Series, that was those experiences professionally are great because everyone is paying attention. And so that's kind of what I root for, is interesting stories that people want to talk about.
Yeah, so you don't have an exact baseball team that you root for?
Right.
That's the kid. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, you bet, Randy. I'll see you in there.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Randy. I almost don't even want to bring this up, but I want to be fair to the people watching on YouTube. But I know Charles might bring this up as well when he comes up to speak. But on YouTube, a couple of things that are keep popping up. One thing is the unhappiness with Mendoza that I would love to get your thoughts on that. You don't have to give them right now. Is unhappiness with Mendoza to the point where some people just don't think he's the right guy for the job.
I think that's wrong, by the way, Hector. But
so do I. But I'll leave it alone for now. The other thing is also a desire for a set lineup, whatever it is, and enough of the bringing guys in and out, and even more so as it pertains to third base and putting the guy at third base and letting them earn the job instead of just flip flopping every day. So just some things that I wanted to just put in your head as we continue with the speakers that I would like you to, you already quickly dismiss the Mendoza thing, but we keep moving. Randy, thank you, brother. Go ahead.
Well, Hector, I just don't the thing about Mendoza. What's the evidence that he's not a good manager? I don't get it. Because they've had a bad recently. That's Mendoza's fault. He's not throwing the pitches and he's not swinging at them. I feel like he has done a good job of holding people accountable. I feel like certainly from my end of the business, he says things that are interesting about the way the team has been going. We've brought up his comments yesterday already. Those are interesting things. And, it's okay for managers to say that. I feel like that in general, fans think managers should be brand names already, and that, like, well, nobody heard of Mendoza, so he's probably not any good. Fan of his, he's not, Buck Showalter, and like, teams don't look at it that way anymore. They're willing to give guys who, I mean, this guy paid his dues throughout. He worked his way up. I don't like. He deserves more of a chance and more of a benefit of the doubt, even if you don't like the way the team is playing right this second. Than a year plus of, where you sour on him. I mean, at least in my mind. And look, if you think that there are managers in the majors that aren't hearing from their front offices on a daily basis about how the game is going to be managed, that's not the modern game. The modern game is collaborative. There are dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of more people with their fingers in the pie of the daily life baseball team than there ever were that when Earl Weaver was managing, or Sparky Anderson, or any of those guys. It's just not the same. And for the general manager or the president of baseball operations or whatever to feel like they have are the right to have a voice in this or that, or at least present their ideas, this is $1 billion business now, billions and billions of dollar business. They have that right. And that doesn't mean that Mendoza is succumbing to the wishes of the front office or any of that stuff. I feel like he has more, he manages with more feel for the way the game is going and what his eyes tell him than a lot of guys who have the same job across the big leagues. And I think that's something that he should be praised for because the reason I imagine that he got the job was because he demonstrated that feel for the game, people who hired him.
Yep.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
No, man, I'm in lockstep with all of that you said, man. And I'm a Mendy guy, and people think it's because for whatever reason, Carlos Mendoza knows who the heck I am, and I've shared some interactions that I've had with him. Oh, so that's why you don't want to criticize him because I'm like, whatever, man, whatever. But anyways, what do we got? Who was it? Top? How you doing, my guy? What's going on, man? Is Top still here, or is Top frozen on my screen? Oh no, there he is. What's up, kid?
Appreciate you taking to let us ask you questions, and appreciate you giving the opportunity. Just one quick question.
Sure.
With the inconsistencies all around, from the pitching to the if you had to put your finger on, because I know the conversation with your 1 through 4 hitters, and they got to wake up. They're basically the leaders of this offense. If there's one guy that is not part of that 1 through 4 that you could put your finger on, who would probably break out, or that you think could break out and maybe be the spark for the rest of the lineup, who would that be?
That's a good question. And I feel like last year the Mets got that answer about with a guy that we talked about earlier with Vientos, and it kind of hasn't happened, obviously this year for him. I was a fan of the Cedric Mullins acquisition. I know I'm looking at his numbers right now. I know he's 1 for 14 as a Met, not great. I do feel like he is somebody who could have an impact on this team in a good way. At it, and he shown a talent for doing that as well. So I like the idea of running him, whatever that means, but getting on the bases. I actually meant to bring this up earlier. I kind of wish they would run more. They've only been caught 10 times the whole year. They lead the majors in efficiency, stolen base efficiency, and I wish they would try it because it might be a way to kind of jolt things, when they're not hitting as much. So that's one of the reasons why I suggest Mullins too. And also, like, look, I mean, I admit I'm a sucker for this nickname of his. I guess in the minors, they used to call him Parking Lot Ed because he was hitting the ball in the parking lot of these minor league stadiums, which I think is just a great, fun image. I know he doesn't project as the classic slugger, build because he's not this huge monster. But he still has pop, and I feel like he can make some plays on offense that could really help this Met team.
Appreciate it, Anthony. Thank you. Hector, de lo mío. Siempre, bro. Appreciate you.
Gracias, manito. Gracias. What do we got? Try to keep this line moving. At least try to get Anthony out of here by 10 o'clock, guys. We've abused our time with Anthony. He'll probably never come back again, but we'll see how that works out. Michael, man, appreciate your patience, man.
Yeah, no problem. Anthony, appreciate Hector. Thank you so much for hosting. Really quick before I say what I want to bring on, as far as the Mendoza thing, I think people are unfairly, like you said, judging him based off of. I mean, as a first, you can't ask for anything better. I mean, what a for the second half, deep into the playoffs, when you go into the season thinking that this team was going to miss the playoffs, and then we so far exceed expectations that it just blows things out of proportion. So obviously when you come into this year, you get Juan Soto, you have a better team than last year. It's like the expectations are now too inflated. Well, yes, we should be a great team. We should win the division. On paper, we're so good. It's just blowing things as far as public perception of him out of proportion. So it's really kind of crazy as far as people saying he's not the right guy for the job.
That's a good observation. That's a great way to put it too. That last year he's sort of unfairly held up.
Yeah. But my other thing was just going to just point out and saying that I think there's a reason all of us are sitting in this Twitter space right now complaining, is because we can't possibly fathom the idea that the pendulum is not, it's so far opposite and bad direction that it's not going to course correct and swing back to where we still have not seen, even when we were winning in the season, nobody, like, the team is not clicked together. We can't possibly think that this group of players is incapable of getting there. And I think that that's what the most frustrating part is too, is that we've seen it happen and we're like, how are we in August 7th and it hasn't happened yet? So
that's a good observation too.
Yeah. So I think that's why it feels even worse than it feels even worse than the years that we feel like we weren't going to make the playoffs, but because there's that expectation, we're like, what is missing here? There's no Grimace coming. There's no Iglesias happening. So we're like, what could possibly jolt this team into it to make it seem like it's not dead in the water?
Well, and that, but doesn't the idea of it that it may be out there sort of, isn't that amazing to what?
Oh, absolutely.
Like the last month, the last month of the season plus October could actually be.
And that's why I'm still sitting on the couch every night at 7 o'clock, waiting for it to happen, just like everybody else. We're waiting for that one time, for it to flip the switch. Because you're right, it's going to happen. I truly believe that, and it's going to be in a way we least expect it, and it's going to be, we're in for another ride. So
yeah, good. I see there.
Thought I'd bring it.
Yeah, I love it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael. No, and we always need that because us Met fans in general, we tend to lean negative. So definitely appreciate that optimism and the positivity, Michael.
And I will say real quick, I mean, I've been watching this team for 30 years, and I've been screaming and yelling at my TV. Trust me, I'm not just blindly looking at this. I'm just like, I think I'm so far that I'm like, all right, fuck it, why not? Like, well, let's make it happen.
No, for sure. For sure, man. Sorry, I got a little distracted here. But I appreciate you, Michael. Let's try to wind this down. Charles, my guy, how you doing, man?
What's up, man? What's up, everybody? Anthony, what's up? First and foremost, heck, just wanted to say, bro, I took a little mental break, man. This Mets team, it can be frustrating, but busy. Took a little mental break, but while I was gone, I did hear that some people, or at least some person in particular, mention my name, so I won't mention the name, but I'll say this for the basketball writer or whatever questioning my history or my knowledge. I know more about baseball. I've forgotten more about baseball. I've literally admitted to that in several spaces. You listen to us and things, so stick to that. But what I heard like the previous guy that was up asking about where the spark is, and I do have optimism for this team, but two things here. One, the spark isn't here because David Stearns, although he has the potential to be an excellent GM front office mind, when you're somebody that mind and you are very smart, sometimes you can be too smart for your own good in certain instances. And like I was once told that you're the smartest person in the room, then change your room. Okay. So you can't always be the smartest person in the room. Now, the guys that provided the spark, the JD Martinez, if you remember, he didn't get signed until spring training started. So he came up a little later. This team was scuffling. He recommended bringing up, felt that could help spark this, and he was a spark plug. You know, Sebi was a big part of that chemistry. You had veteran guys stabilize the back of that rotation, like Jose Quintana, that is no longer here. But for some reason, we gave Frankie Montas $34 million. So you're wondering where your spark is, and when you lift up the hood of the engine, some of those spark plugs are gone. Okay, that's what you're missing. And with Mendoza, for as good as the year was last year, it was the Francisco Lindor player meeting only where they had to come up with ways to hold each other accountable as players. Now, to me, that's a red flag because if we have to come up with a way to hold each other accountable, then that means there's no way for us to be held accountable until we're putting this in place. And I can give you plenty of instances I feel like Mendoza is a bad manager and his lackadaisical approach. You know, last year maybe he brought in, maybe he's the one drinking the Kool-Aid because last year the New York Mets led MLB in comeback wins. I think it was 44. He's too willing to punt games. He's admitted to this way back in April when he was already quoting, making comments saying things like, "Oh, we're not chasing wins in April." You know, just the other day when he left Carrillo in, when Mania came out, Mania came out as a 2-1 game. You bring Carrillo in for the fifth, he gives up 2 runs. It's a 3-2 game. Then you send him back out there for the sixth, and you sit back while he gives up 4 more runs and pretty much blows the game open. But then you tell us that, oh, well, you don't go to one of your good arms when you're already 3 or so runs down. Why not? Why wouldn't you? And what is playing to these star players? These aren't kids. These are veteran players. So if I'm Francisco or if I'm Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, I'm offended. You mean to tell me you don't think we can come back from 3 runs? Like, you don't believe in that? No, I don't think he does believe in that. So I can give you an example back early in the season when the Diamondbacks came to City and the Mets had, the best home record in baseball. We might still have it, but that series, the first series that we lost was to the Diamondbacks. It's 2-1, top of the ninth. And you say Chris Davinsky back out there for top of and rested. Davinsky ends up giving up 2 runs to the 4-1 game. You had Lindor and Soto coming up in the bottom half of that lineup, in the bottom of the ninth. How do you not put one of your better arms in? How do you, as a manager, run game? Because I got Lindor and Soto up next inning, and I have confidence in my guys that one of these guys is going to tie this game or we're going to win this game. And when you don't do that, telling them that you don't have the confidence in them. And Tyrone Taylor was up first. The 9 spot was up first. Tyrone Taylor hits a leadoff home run. The Mets end up coming back, but we lose the game 4-3. I have a saying that I say the baseball guys will always let you know, and that we scored 3 runs. So it tells you that if we had kept that to a 2-1 game, that's a ball game that the Mets are supposed to win. That's a come from behind win. That's a mojo building win. that you allowed to slip away. For what reason? Because you think you're better than you are, or you think you got some magic capsule like last year, and these guys are just going to turn it on whenever it's time to turn it on. That's not how it's built. Okay, I've seen him punt way too many games. I've seen too many times we win the first two series of the game, and then in the third game, it's like, oh, well, you know, we did our job. Reminds me a lot of Willie Randolph and in '06 and '07, you know, the collapse when, you know, all we had to do, oh, just win 2 games, you know, we're doing our job. No, your job as a professional is to go out and win each and every game in front of you. That's what you're supposed to try to do, right? The famous Herman Edwards quote, hello, you play to win the game. So when you're not doing that on a consistent basis, what message are you relaying to your guys? It's not that important to you. It's not that serious to you. Anthony, you brought up a good, why aren't we running more? We have a 90% still success rate. Why are we not running wild? Why is the manager not telling these guys, hey, we ain't hitting the ball. I need you guys running. I need you guys hustling. I need you guys to win, will yourself or win, however that may be. Why is that falls back on me? He's a terrible manager, in my opinion. He has absolutely zero fire, and you wondering why his ball club has zero fire. Well, it starts at the top. It starts at the top. And the things that I was saying last year, I was told, oh, these are rookie mistakes. First of all, there shouldn't have been many rookie mistakes with Mendoza, a guy who was a bench coach for 15 years. I mean, if you can sit on a bench and learn the game for 15 years, are you really a rookie manager? I mean, you are in a sense, but with 15 years of experience, I think I should know what I'm doing, right? I mean, so, you know, he's just too lackadaisical, like I said. And this team needs a spark. Last year, the spark came up from the minors. It was in the form of veterans. I think we can get that, bring some of these kids up. You know, Carson Bench is hitting 400 in AA with a 1200 OPS. Why is his name not being discussed? You know, why are we watching Frankie Montas pitch uncompetitively start when you see what Noah McLean and Brandon Sproat are doing down in AAA? Okay, take the names off of the players. Just look at Frankie Montas' AAA stats compared to Brandon Sproat and Noah McLean. Now, if there was no name on that, Anthony, you telling me you looking at Montas' stats and you're calling him up over the other two guys? No way in the world. So why?
I think Sproat or McLean should come up.
Right. You know,
I like the idea of calling up young guys. I feel like sometimes it's sort of overthought about, you know, just because you call somebody up doesn't mean that they're there forever. It doesn't mean that they can't go back down. It doesn't mean that you've ruined their development. You know, Sproat or McLean or both could have an impact on this team. And at some point, it would be nice if they came up here. And I agree with your point about them running more. They do need to run more. as a, you know, I would imagine that some of it has to do with what, you know, some of the players are comfortable with in terms of, you know, what they're doing. You know, I wonder how Lindor's toe is. Does that impact him? You know, not running as much as he maybe could or should.
Right.
You know, I mean, Soto is, I have been pleasantly delighted. Knows when teams aren't paying attention to him, and he's hit it to a career high in steals. You know, but maybe he's not the right guy to go. Maybe Soto is not the guy to, you know, go every time he's up. Like he's not Lou Brock.
Right.
So he's not. That's not his comfort zone. I do feel like they are really efficient at it. And Acuna's in the minors now, unfortunately. I like Acuna very much. I don't know how everybody feels about him. I think that they should have found more chance for him to play, because I feel like he could be something very interesting. I'm not sure why he seems to be pigeonholed there as kind of like the pinch runner / defensive.
which never
which
made any sense that that you do that 22 or 23-year-old kid. I mean, you want to talk about stunt development. Now that's
yeah,
stunt development. You
I
bring
know
this
that's
kid
why
up and he's
he's.
not getting any at bats. He's
I,
just sitting on the bench and
well, that's why they sent him back down. I think so he can shortstop and play every day and maybe get some bites at center field too. Which is, I thought they should have given him some chances in center field in the majors this year. They all look. They know the player better than I do, so maybe
right. What
maybe they don't think he's experienced enough to. I
what do
feel
you
like
think
giving
about
him things to do would be good.
yeah, for sure. What do you think about Jet Williams and Carson Benz, like as far as in their development, and do you think there's a chance we see one of those guys or possibly both of those guys at Citi Field at any time soon?
I'm not sure. I know Benj. He hasn't been in Double A that long. I know he's doing really well there. I mean, every time I log on to Twitter, there's a Carson Benj highlight of him hitting the ball over the fence. So he's
Yeah,
obviously
he was your
raking.
player of the month.
Yeah, he's obviously raking like crazy down there. Story, but he's also played and but he's only 21 also. So I don't know the answer to that. I think these guys are going to come up this year. But that doesn't mean that they're not, they didn't trade him at the deadline. So they're obvious. Look, Carson Benj is one of the reasons why, what's his name? They were able to trade Drew Gilbert.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
because he had
the
super.
crazy. My bad. Go
Charles,
ahead.
I
Oh, go
gotta
ahead.
try to move on, man. It's 10 o'clock. I gotta try to move on, Charles. I want to get to Flip, who's our last speaker, and then I'll give everybody that's a speaker one last chance, one quick final thought with Anthony. But I gotta try to move on and let Anthony get out of here, man. So I appreciate you on that. Flip, what's going on, kid? I'm also, I don't know, another reason why is the audio is cutting in and out for me, and I think it might be me. I don't know. I'm scared of losing the space as well, man. Go ahead, Flip.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I can hear
So
you.
yeah, so Anthony, I do agree with you. I do think the Mets need to run more. One thing I do want to see the Mets do is maybe play a little bit of small ball. I mean, look, we saw Ghost Runner set nobody out, Nemo with his inability to move him over. That runner was stranded at third base. Maybe in that situation, play a little bit of small ball. Baseball hasn't changed since it started, and at home you play for the tie. In that situation, you got to move them. And but that over to my next point because I think that. And I promise I won't be long-winded. When the Mets carried Acuna, the Mets had a logjam at in the infield.
Yeah.
And when they send them down, with the addition of Cedric Mullins, I think we can agree that the Mets still have a logjam in the infield because if you need to get McNeil into going to, that moves McNeil to second base. Now you create the situation where you have third base going to Ronnie Mauricio, Mark Vientos, and Brett Beatty. So
Right.
I'm really questioning is having too much depth now really hurting the Mets because I think that they're in this home kind of Mendoza going with this chess match late in the games where you're pinch hitting Vientos, you're pitch hitting Mauricio late in the games, and I just feel like if you take that situation away in the sense where if you don't have a Brett Beatty in the roster, you're kind of forced to go with your guys throughout the rest of the game.
I mean, it's a fair question. They're definitely not as versatile without Acuna in there, and yeah, I mean, McNeil has to play. They're going to find spots for him. He's actually, in terms of production, is doing pretty well. I like your point about the small ball part because I do feel like they could try to take advantage of something. I'm sure I ever see runs, not with just the Mets, but baseball. It's like it's been banned or something. But I do think they could maybe generate some more runs by attacking differently. Look, I mean, they're pretty good at home runs. Only 9 teams have more home runs than they do. They actually are above average in getting on base, even though and they're above average OPS as well. They're not scoring in large part can't hit with scoring with runners in scoring position, or they're not that good at it. Like a switch to doing a couple of things occasionally, even to just put it into opponents' hands. Like we saw slaps a base hit past the third baseman or something like that. Who knows? There are all kinds of things that they can create, and I think they're talented enough stuff to create some of it.
You good, Flip?
Yeah, I'm good. So just a follow up. So because I want the Mets to go with last year's formula plus a Juan Soto. What I mean by that is by default the Mets should be better because we virtually have the same team plus a Juan Soto. So I
Right.
want to see the bulk of the playing time go to the guy this year, which is why I need the Mets to create a situation where the majority of the playing time is going to Mark Vientos. I know he's struggling 4 months in, but you got to let the guy play out. If you think that the sophomore thing, he has a chance of getting out of him the majority of the playing time.
Yeah, I mean, if he hit, let's just to pick a number. If he hit 12 home runs between now and the end of the year, maybe that's asking a lot. That would give him 19 for the season. It wouldn't be as great as last year, obviously, but then he'd be in a position and probably feeling pretty good about himself to where if getting chances in the postseason, he could do some damage as well, which was obviously a big thing for him last year. Yeah, I'm a big Vientos guy. I know his fielding is not as good as the other two guys at third, but he's great Pete insurance in case Pete leaves after the season because he could be the first baseman next year. And I think he's a power bat waiting to explode.
Well, we're just glad he wasn't the first baseman this year because we would be in trouble if we had no Pete and he was at first base. and I love Vientos too. I really do. But oh man, it's been bad. On that note, I think Flip was the last speaker, at least the last new speaker. Like I said, I'll give you guys a quick like 5 second um uh last thought real quick if you want. With Anthony, if you don't, it's okay. Probably even better so we can get Anthony out of here. But real quick for me, Anthony, I'm just listening to the last couple of speakers when we're talking about, and again, we probably make too much of this stuff, right? And chemistry's been mentioned, and leadership has been mentioned, and should we have brought back Jose Iglesias? And I was one that I said, you know what, the 2024 Magic, that was 2024.
Right.
Every season writes its own story. Now, I did say leadership comes in different shapes and sizes, and I feel like Jose Iglesias was huge in the leadership last year, just like JD Martinez was as well. And Jose Iglesias was very vocal about wanting to come back and continuing to be in part of that leadership. And he, as he put it, helping Francisco Lindor lead this team and go on and win a championship. And maybe for that, we should have brought him in. So I'm with Charles when he talks about, you know, maybe you shouldn't have tried to be the smartest guy in the room, David Stearns, and paid attention to things like this and bring a guy like that back. But I don't know. Are we making too much of that? I do think about, you know, what's something we haven't heard, and I think we haven't heard it probably since the David Wright ceremony when everyone expected to happen. Francisco Lindor, captain, the captain, the captain, the captain. Well, this is what you need to step up as the captain. And we're talking about the leadership and what's going on in that clubhouse and so on and so forth. Where's the captain that everybody wants to be loud about when he gets a big hit? That's not the only time you're a captain. And to me, that doesn't make you a captain. It's really what goes on behind closed doors that makes you a captain. And that's not to pick on the door. But again, I don't know. I felt that this team learned last year how to win. That this team learned, certain guys learned how to be leaders, including Brandon Nimmo and a Francisco Lindor. But are we seeing that now? I don't know. Are we making too much of it? I don't know.
It's a fair question. And the Iglesias is fascinating because we'll never know the answer. But clearly had a massive impact on the team terms. I mean, analytically, no one can measure vibe, right? And
Yeah.
we don't have a stat for that, but he clearly enhanced the Met vibe last year. And oh, by the way, he had the best year of his career too. I mean, he was a very impactful offensive player in that regard as well. Not even Iglesias himself would have said that he would do what he did offensively for them. But you know, when you get to the winter, like it seems like when teams evaluate about, you know, how they're going to construct the roster the next year, like chemistry and vibe, you know, doesn't come into play as much as, you know, or it does as part of the guy, but not when you let him go. You know, like I don't know, maybe they felt like he wanted too much money, or maybe they, you know, maybe they thought that last year was just like Quicksilver and hold it in your hand one time and that was it, and that was all. You know, it was like a shooting star, his impact on them last year, Iglesias, and it was never going to be the same. And you know, who's to say they're I can understand the argument that, like, well, you know, they and
At the same time, and I don't know. I think it's again. I think it's me because I keep losing the audio, but I think it's my connection is acting up. At the same time, where the heck was Iglesias going to play? Right? We talk about these young guys, and if we wanted to see a Ronnie Mauricio eventually come up and play, and Acuna, and even the playing time that Beatty has gotten, that opportunity might not have been there if an Iglesias was there, or would have been more complicated if an Iglesias was here. And I want to say
right.
something else real quick before I let everybody have their final thought. Charles mentioned, maybe bringing up a Carson Bench or Jet Williams right now as we're trying to go win a pennant. We're trying to win a pennant, and for me is like, how can we be calling for more young guys, for more rookies, when the young guys we have here have struggled to really take off? When we really look at every single one of them, whether it's
Can I
Viento's
speak to that?
sophomore slump, whether it's whatever. Yeah, you can speak to it on your final thought, Charles. So I can't clamor for any more young guys. I need the guys here to get the job done. I need the guys here who are capable, very capable, to get the job done. But that's me though. Again, man, appreciate Anthony and his time. Guys, please make it quick. Please make it quick. And like I say, no particular order. I'm just going by the way I see it on my screen. A quick question, quick comment. Make it a question. Um, and yes, Charles, you can address my comment as well. But we'll go Hefe, Charles, Randy, Petey, Flip, Kenny, and Jeffrey. Go ahead, Hefe. Quick.
Thanks so much for coming through the space. I hope you got something out of it,
Absolutely.
and that you got like where the fans are, especially on Mets Twitter. And I did ask you a two-part question, and the second part you really didn't answer. How much do you think Mendoza is coaching this team? Is he a bench coach or is he managing the team? What's happening from the front office to the manager, in your opinion?
I would say it's like every other organization in baseball, in a way that in the classic old time manager it was not. You know, it was now you know, then it was I'll cook the meal, you get the ingredients. And now I think that everybody is in the kitchen.
But I think, let me ask you this, Anthony. Let me add this to what Hef is saying, because a lot of people think that even in game decisions are predetermined, and Mendoza is not showing any feel for the game. He's just totally going by what the front office is telling him. I think some people even think that there's a direct line from David Stearns forget a phone. He has it in the Bluetooth that we just don't see. It's probably like skin colored, camouflaged or whatever, so we don't see it. And David Stearns and the analytics are speaking to Carlos Mendoza, making decisions in games.
I don't know about that. That's Well, that's some conspiracy theory.
Well, I added the whole I added the whole Bluetooth thing, but that's the way that people talk, as if like you said, is he a bench coach? He said earlier, is he a puppet? You know what I'm saying? And they
Look,
feel like every single move comes directly from my analytics, even in game. So when Mendoza goes and pulls a pitcher, it's because the analytics department said you have to pull him at this time. When Mendoza goes and pinch hits, it's because the analytics department and David Stern says you have to pinch hit for this guy right now. I don't
do
buy
I
that
think
nonsense.
do I think those conversations happen before the game? That if situation X comes up, we should be thinking about doing this. Yeah, I think those conversations. But I also think that Mendy has done a few times this year. I don't have the examples to hand, and I know that not everybody feels this way, where he has gone sees on the field and how the game is that a lot of other organizations and managers don't. Like, I think he sees a pitcher on the mound, and the pitch count will be, he was supposed to as X, but he feels like he can stay in there, or otherwise, because of what he's seen, is telling him. And I feel like there have been days where he has done stuff like that, or don't think he's implementing a set of data only. That doesn't jibe with what I see out there, and
Yeah, me neither. Charles.
Yeah, okay, quickly, Heck, you do make a point about some of the young guys that we have on the roster, but I think this roster needs to trim the fat. And some of the young guys that we have on the roster they're 4A guys. They've never taken any outside of Vientos and ran with it. And I'm talking about guys like Brett Beatty and even a guy like Hector, who we've got essentially nothing from. Carson Benz reminds me of of Mark Vientos, his hitter at the time, and you're going to bring in a Brett Beatty, a guy who for 15. It reminds me of the year when Jeff Stride and he was red hot and he was pinch hit for an ice cold Francisco Alvarez. So, like I said, that was supposed to have been rookie mistakes that we are seeing being repeated in the second. Couple times we've seen Sean Mania begging for one more inning. We've seen him.
well, but he's coming back from an injury, so it doesn't really apply in that instance.
And as far as Clay, I don't think Clay should go to the bullpen, not because he's not performing, but because you don't want to burn him out. And I think okay, but I think fans were thinking more Michael.
Yeah, he hasn't been Michael King. You're right.
Yeah, and I just texted someone just to make sure, guys. Like I said, for whatever reason, the audio is cutting in and out on me, so I can't even respond to everything you said, Charles. But we'll be back tomorrow, and we can continue the conversations for the younger, because I think you said something that I really wanted to hear, and this thing is acting up on me. But as long as all you guys can hear each other, that's what counts right now. As we get out of here pretty soon, hopefully. But appreciate you, Charles. Randy, final thought, real quick.
Hey, final thought. I would say see with Juan Soto this year, obviously the whole Soto shuffle and all that, and we've seen it a little bit with the Mets, but I feel like we haven't seen it enough. I remember asking Jose Reyes, and he told me like he just doesn't feel it. And then I heard Will Salmon did also an article, and he also said that feeling it, but then he did it with the Dodgers against the Dodgers, and I think he did it some other time, but we haven't seen it a lot. And I just think that's a Soto, him being Soto. So what do you feel about that?
I think that is part of him, and it would probably be better more, but maybe he doesn't feel it in the same. And also, I just, look, we don't know this, but I feel like, as Met fans, you're getting to see him play in a way that maybe he didn't before. And was he doing, I haven't, last year I wasn't like, notching every single time he did a Soto shuffle, but did he ever something that we caught on highlight films? You know what I mean? Like, did he really do it all the time, or and now we're seeing him not do it all the time, so we think he never does it, or you know what I mean? I don't know
No,
the answer to that.
and I know exactly. I think there was. I think he definitely has done it more as a Yankee last year. I know exactly what you mean.
And that, but and certainly the last year, and that's not a Met Yankee thing. And I know a lot. For whatever reason, he's not having his peak year, and maybe he doesn't get there. Hit 30 home runs, yeah. Is he going to have a close to 400 on base percentage? Yeah. Is it going to be the most year? Not. Just part of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Baseball's definitely tough, man. Appreciate you.
Work, Randy.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate you, kid. What's up, Petey?
Anthony, seconds. Is Winker a big part at the end when he comes back?
I don't know. He had a pretty big impact last vibe as well. It's been a lost year for him so far, obviously. Once he gets back, what are they going to get from him? I don't know the answer to that, but he's sure impact. And you see him in the clubhouse all the time. I mean, he's there, and guys are interacting with him. So he clearly is a person of some stature in there. And clearly last year's impact is part of that. But yeah, it's a great.
All right, I think appreciate you, Petey. Oh my gosh, this audio is killing me, and I apologize to anybody that's dealing with the audio issues that I'm dealing with. If you are, I also apologize. I just looked at my phone. I see a bunch of texts and DMs. One DM in particular that I'm going to address in a second. But I apologize when I'm doing these spaces or whatever. I try to stay away from my phone so I don't see the messages. I apologize to you guys that will try to reach out for certain things. Master Flip, dímelo de lo mío. Dale. Flip.
Final thought. Look, I know we had a disappointing homestand. The Mets were one of the best teams in baseball, the best team in baseball at home. We had off 3 games. We win these games in April and May, and so I don't think the team is far in managed decisions. Off.
Totally fair. And probably what is going to happen.
Yep. Thank you, Flip. Kenny.
Anthony, before I get to my quick question, I don't know if you play golf, but I'd love to have you out there with JJ.
I'm always listening to JJ's tales of golf, though.
Oh, JJ's the only guy that does play-by-play of the shots on the golf course.
Oh my goodness.
Not surprise me.
but really, like, you think that Uncle Stevie gets it done with a nice extension for Pete?
Ooh.
I mean, that is a good question. Because I really do think that there is something about like keep holding on to franchise icons, and that is what Pete is. I know he's still got a lot of career left in him, but he could be a unique player in the club's history. He's got to stick around to do that. Obviously, he's got to want to do that, and they need to want to have him. Do I think do I looking at a wrong side of 30 first baseman with one major skill, that being power. Do I think that those folks love the idea of giving a long-term contract to that kind of player? Probably not. I'm not saying that they won't, but I think the owner probably has an understanding that Pete has done some historic things in a Met uniform, probably do a few things in a Met uniform, and put it away for a long, long, perhaps. And there's value in that, even if you don't contract that pays off in every single year, if you know what I'm getting at.
So because I have a feeling if the Mets don't, make him happy with the money, and he loves New York, he's going to be a Yankee.
Well, the Yankees, and I know Mets fans will get mad at me for this, but the Yankees should have signed him last offseason.
I got mad at you when you said it in the offseason. Not mad.
Yeah. I mean, there was look, that guy in that ball something.
Yeah, that would really make me sick.
Yeah,
Jeffrey,
it would be.
No,
Yeah.
I was liking this until he said that.
Go ahead,
Those
Jeffrey.
lines, I'll be quick, and along those lines, is there a work stoppage after the 2020?
Yeah, I think there's guys
Oh
in that regard.
That would break
Yeah.
my heart.
I mean, it's terrible to contemplate, but I mean, you got Bryce Harper yelling at the commissioner in a meeting, and like they've got some issues that they need to work through. But yeah, I don't. I'm not overly optimistic about it.
I don't even want to think of that right now. On that note, once again, Anthony, man, thank you so much. As always, you've been more than gracious, more than I deserve for sure with your time, and I greatly appreciate it. I know everybody here greatly appreciates it. And maybe if obviously we didn't drive you crazy,
No.
we'll do it again sometime, man. But thank you so much, Anthony. Really, really, really appreciate it.
You bet.
Yeah, and again, for whatever reason, I'm having a hard time hearing everybody, so I can even barely hear what Anthony is saying because it's cutting out on me. So I don't even want to even do too much of a closing. So I apologize, Anthony, that I can't even really respond.
Hector, I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I got you, Hector.
I know you guys can hear me, but for whatever reason, I can't hear you guys. Like it cuts off, and it's everybody that speaks. So I don't. That's why I haven't said like, "Oh, I need you to drop and come back," because it seems to be everybody. So I just think it's on my end. I don't know why. Maybe
Bluetooth.
I'm on my computer. It's not the Bluetooth, which is what's frustrating me. The signal's good supposedly and everything. I don't know, guys. I don't know. But again, just thank you so much, Anthony. Appreciate you. Thank everybody for coming in. There's so many of you guys in here. I can't even do the whole shout out thing. But I do want to say this, guys, because this bothered me. And I'm not going to mention any names or anything like that. But I don't like the fact that I got a DM from someone who tells me I will not speak in this space because I don't feel comfortable, because I feel like people are going to jump on me because of my opinion. I've said this a million times. A blunt thought space, which is what I call my content, is not because I'm a pothead or anything like that, how some people like to portray it. It's because it's a space that is open for everyone to give their honest opinion. We don't have to agree with it, but we do have to respect each other when we're in my space. And that bothers me that someone doesn't want to come and speak in my space where I try to make it a comfortable place because they're afraid that someone else is going to cut them off and ridicule them for their opinion. So we need to be better going forward because I don't want to get those type of DMs. Other than that, again, thank you to everybody. This has been great. This has been a lot longer than expected. I got my guy Eddie ready to kill me right now because we were supposed to do a mess talk unfiltered, and I don't know if we're going to do that because we've gone way longer than we were going to do this for here with Anthony. But when you get someone like Anthony, you got to take advantage. You know what I'm saying? And I greatly appreciate his time.
Well, I appreciate you having me, Hector, as always.
Thank you,
Always
Anthony.
always a good time.
Thank you, man.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
brother. And I mean what I said, man. When you're going out to the ballpark, shoot me a DM, email, whatever. Say, Hector, I'm going to the ballpark. If you're there, I'd love to shake your hand for real.
Fair enough. I'll do it.
Thank you, man.
All right,
Everybody,
Okay.
Fire Mendoza.
You guys have a good night.
Big fan, Anthony. Big fan of Anthony McCarron.
Thank you. Thank you very appreciate that.
All right,
Good night, everybody.
All right, let's.
Good night, everybody. As always, man, you already know we'll be pregame tomorrow, a couple hours before the game, just to get ready, and to get ready to root for this team. Because even though it makes us sick sometimes, it sure as heck makes me sick. We're always about let's go Mets. Good night, everybody. Peace.
Thanks, Hector. Great.
Have a good night, bro.
Bless you.
Heck, it's about. Yeah, man.
My YouTube people, man, the one person of you in here still, or maybe two, or maybe three, or maybe none. Man, appreciate you guys for coming in and hanging out. I know it's a little bit different. I can't really interact with you guys. I tried as much as I could by bringing up some comments and stuff like that. Um, but as always, we appreciate you. Like I said, a lot of you guys watch Mess Talk Unfiltered. I said last night we would be doing this today. I don't know. Got to talk to my guy Eddie now to see if we'll still do it. I probably got to go have me a late dinner or something. But again, appreciate you guys. Probably also will be a blunt toast coming. There's a couple of things that I want to talk about too that I didn't get to talk about yesterday. But just thank you to you guys, man. Appreciate the support, whatever you want to call it, man. We do this because we love this team, and we all have thoughts, and sometimes we just need to let them out. We just need to let them out. We get frustrated. Life gets in the way sometimes, and we come to these things to try to get an escape, and the escape is not there because the team is driving us crazy. But at the end of the day, it's always, always let's go Mets. And I know you guys feel the same way. But again, I appreciate everybody. Have a good night. See everybody tomorrow. Let's go Mets. Peace.